As we are once again, question mark. Let's make sure that we are actually, as we are indeed, once again live upon the internet. As it wasn't showing up yet. Yeah, let's make sure that everything is working. Set to publics and that my audio is okay, which it is. That's good. Yeah, let's make sure as well that we're grabbing this window, because we're gonna go get set up for a build showcase. Gonna take this lady. So it's been running around, so I'm a sweaty boy. Let's actually go back here for now.
Safe area detected.
A little bit. Yeah, so had a bunch of ideas of where to do the intro again, and I've, like, all of it has left my brain already again. Because I was kind of thinking, I mean, I had a bunch of ideas in my head, but all of them are kind of now gone again. As so often happens. Because I had a few missions in my mind. Well, actually, so a bank, and then maybe that, like, planetary. Although that's a dark spot. It's not that, like, it's not well lit enough. Because, yeah, the other one was maybe thinking of doing it in air and space in just one of the halls. So maybe just do that. And I just set this to low difficulty. We're going to just run to the point where it is, and we're going to do an intro. Yeah, actually, let's keep on the glow modifier for now. Turn it off later.
Black Tusk has already established a foothold here. Dislodging them isn't going to be easy.
Let's just take the normal version, actually. Yeah, no, just let's not care about it.
The ramp to the parking garage looks like your best way in.
Get to inside. And hey, Tennyson. Not the worst piece. Oh, she had reflect too, I think. Didn't show.
We've got a casualty!
I should. Yeah, that's before we go further. Let me pass it. So grab a high grade MS just to make it look better. Oh, she already added so, didn't she? Oh yeah, that's a bunch actually extra junk in here. Let's actually not carry around a bunch of extra junk. I'd keep this though. Wait, where's the... Or does somebody else have it? There's the grade 27. Oh, this is the burnout. That's why. Okay. gotta look pretty, right, for the for the showcase. I know it's been a while actually doing a show. Yeah, when is the last showcase? Oh, I didn't reach a checkpoint, of course. If I go to my own channel and search, or actually I could go to the playlist of showcases. Build showcase. No, I wanna have videos. So the last one was joke builds, and yeah, that was 28th of August. So the entire September, October, and like half of November. It's been 2.5 months since the last showcase. Although yeah, this is of course because we kind of knew changes were afoot. So I didn't want to do any showcases till kind of stuff had settled. And we're just getting to the inner halls. We're gonna start recording there. So that's why we're almost no difficulty.
We need to figure out what they're doing.
Because also my idea was we're not
find
gonna
any intel on
like
their
pop the videos
operation.
now, but I was thinking of doing
Seems
the
like these guys are salvaging
outro in the
everything
secret room.
they can from this place. They're crafty bastards.
Not that there is
Give 'em
like
that.
it's very special, but
Tag anything useful, announce it in a
yeah,
recovery
likely
team
we'll do it
later.
here,
Blow the
and we'll
shit out
just
of anything too dangerous.
look at the gal, the missing gal from the missing A10.
True Sun's reinforcements incoming.
Keep moving. We need to clear the next hall.
When you're done fucking things up there,
Keep moving. You still got 2 halls to clear.
Let's actually see. Let's see if we can kind of make this kind of look right, especially with lighting. Oh, no, I can brighten it up enough that what is this actually? I've never. How do I activate this? Oh, you can turn to face the camera? Huh. I never knew this. I never knew this was an option. I usually just use it for this. Right. Just praise the A10. That's actually handy to know. But yeah, for now, I think we're just gonna have a speed like this. Yeah, let me get you up here for a second. Also, let me type out recording footage for striker build show pace. Will respond to chat in between segments. Striber. Almost at Striber. Yeah, let's put that as a pinned message there. So yeah, let me catch up on this one. An ABG. SMCR is more aggressive and strategic in normal non-modifier mode. Believe it seems flanking tactics. I haven't been in non-modifier mode much, but in mod, like, no. Overall, no. Generally, every season, people feel like they get a little more aggressive or stuff. I feel actually I would lean towards the other side, but that's just we're killing them so much faster and we have so much more RPMs and stuff than usual. We're just getting their numbers down, especially with the modifier down so much more. There could be some truth to it, but yeah, I don't believe the NPCs have been touched at all. And Hazemi. I definitely know their damage hasn't changed, at least for a few archetypes. Like, I have footage of me standing in front of like LMG, purple LMG from Outcasts, and with the tech tank, and kind of like side by side, like have it now from several seasons, where, you know, people go like, they've changed their damage, especially the Project Resolve one, where people thought wrongly that our weapon damage was, you know, their weapon damage was tied to our weapon damage. Nothing really points to that. And yeah, since then I've actually been every season kind of, but that just happens. Me just standing in front of a purple LMG, so there's always a clip of it somewhere. So. Okay, difference, yeah, kind of same. There's definitely been moments where like an enemy has been more aggressive, but that's always happened. Like that always happens. So we might just run, like RNG wise, run into that. Also kind of depends on which factions you're fighting with. For instance, Black Tusk is much more aggressive than like a hyena. If you've now been just fighting hyenas more, or especially the New York factions, I feel likely that's kind of the deal with it as well. Rikers are one of the most aggressive for flanking, so. And hey, Mambu. Yeah, let's do an intro. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna just get going into this. Still haven't actually really decided what I'm gonna do, actually. I feel I'm gonna go do a control point and a bounty, maybe. And then I was thinking of maybe taking the chest one into heroic countdown, but then maybe doing that at the end, and then also because, yeah, the modifiers are going to be on. So we'll have that segment with the modifiers on. But basically just starting solo with some open world stuff. And then maybe we'll see if we can get a few people together from, because I don't want the modifier to always be on, because that's just too easy. That, like, this build is strong enough without cheesing it like that. So I would likely maybe see if we can get 4 people together from stream, and then maybe we do a mission. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's first do an intro here, and then we'll just wing it. That's usually how it goes anyway. Did I pin both of those? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How did these go again? What was my name again? Hi, it's me, Mario. And I'm here to fire cam your face off. No, it's me, IKEA. Yeah, no. Well, let's just get going. Let's make sure that the hard disk is kind of spooled up, because it's not always is. Let's actually do a test recording. That worked. Okay. And yeah, let's get it going. Yeah, let's go. Hi, I'm IKEA, and for today's video, I want to give a build showcase on Strikers, We're going to go over red strikers in several of its forms, as it has, of course, been completely nerfed, or has it been? The answer is basically no. It's still well worth running. The new incarnations of it are. My voice is going raspy. Let's try it again. Also, the Shady Skin is going. Yeah, that one is annoyingly one of the ones you have to buy still. I think like that wasn't from a season. That one was one that I bought. The one I put on usually. So I put lefty skins on lefties. I put this skin on rock and rolls, and then if it's a different shotgun, I put the Murray one. Or if it's an ACS, I mean, like an ACS flatline or pummel or something like that, then it's just to make them easy to identify as well. I do like the skins. Kinda. White does sometimes work on like big weapons like this, especially if it's like contrasted like that. Yeah, let's try that again, and then without, preferably without my voice going raspy. Let's see if that's a little better. That's a little better. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, 30 keeping track of the takes I see there. No, that was take 0. Now this is take 1, right? We start on 0 just to give ourselves extra chances. Yeah, let's get going for this intro. Hi, I'm IKEA, and for today's video, I want to give a build showcase on strikers. We'll specifically be talking about red strikers, just in all of its incarnations that are meant to just deal out weapon damage. So we're not going to go into hybrids with this. That's also why we're specifically limiting it to red strikers, because otherwise this would be masterclass length. And of course, strikers recently got nerfed. Did it though? The saying here would be basically, the king is dead, long live the king. Strikers is very much still alive and kicking, and yeah, it is still the top damage and general meta of Division 2. Even though now it does have a little bit more competition, especially for the Obliterate Striker, the Chest Striker still remains as the top for the places where we can make use of those things. Of course, in this video, we're going to go over what those places are and what that actually means. What is a Chest Striker? What is an Obliterate Striker? We'll go over their pictures. Everything will be timestamped, as always, with these showcases. And, of course, all of the build pictures and the build collection will be linked down below. So if you want to jump over there, as we'll be using several build pictures from there to go over strikers. Together with that as well, I've prepared a spreadsheet with some calculations where we'll kind of discuss how new Striker looks with current weapons as well versus the old versions, and kind of what weapon picks do we go for, and also kind of what do we do on build, especially as we'll be using a coyote a lot. What happens if we have too many coyotes? So we'll kind of go into all of that. Everything will be timestamped down below, so you can jump around to the section that you want. And we're going to start off by going over the build, its build picture, then its calculation, and then we'll go into some gameplay where I'll try to talk about how I play strikers and try to kind of transfer some of my knowledge over, hopefully, in a meaningful way. So let's go get started with the build itself. I got a little rambly. Also, I don't like how I ended it there with like transfer some of my knowledge, as if I'm like that smart. I'm not that smart. 210. You know what? I'm just gonna take one more, and if it's because also I kind of fumbled because I didn't have that thing ready there. So so let's give it. We're going flawless. Yeah, now let's give it one more take, because also I kind of didn't like where I tried to give you some of my knowledge, as if I feel there's a little bit too much ego in that sentence implied. Let's. If it's worse, we'll always have that one. So, thanks, Tony-san, for keeping count and making me very conscious of how many takes I made. It's fine now. Yeah, let's go again. Hi, I'm IKEA, and for today's video, I want to give a build showcase on strikers. We're going to go over red strikers, meaning that we're going to leave out all of the hybrids and such that we could do with strikers, but we're not going to. We're just going to take weapon damage strikers, basically, where we focus on getting the most out of our gun and our skills just being secondaries kind of to help with that. We're going to go over several versions of strikers here as well, as popularly there's always, of course, the Obliterate Striker and the Chest Striker. We'll explain what all that means, of course, in this build showcase. And of course, yeah, recently strikers got nerfed a little bit. And yeah, the saying to that would be basically, the king is dead, long live the king. It is basically very much still alive. Of course, there has come a little bit of competition from Umbra, from Heartbreaker for the Obliterate Striker, but the Chest Striker, specifically, is still kind of untouched for the places that it can do its thing. So we're going to go over those. And of course, as always, this will use several pictures of the builds collection, and the links to them will be all below. We're also going to timestamp everything, and you can jump around if you wish to, and we're going to go over the build first, kind of in the game, and then over its build pictures. And then we're going to also go over some of the numbers that I've prepared here, as we have prepared a spreadsheet to kind of go through, kind of discussing new strikers versus old strikers, and some of the weapon choices we could do here. And once we've done that, we're going to take it into gameplay, where I'll take it into some content, and we'll just go through and I'll explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and hopefully that'll be helpful in some ways. So yeah, let's go get started with the build itself and see how it looks now. There we go. I like that one better. To the point that I'm actually going to delete the other one. It's in the trash can. I can still always like pull it out if I need it. But I think that one was a lot better, even though my glasses steamed up. I'm like sweating a little and it's hot in here, but that was I haven't had that in a while. Yeah, so that's the intro. Chicken Eye. It's a good spot. Kind of don't hate this. Yeah. Oh, actually, it's of course not showing that because yeah, it's so nice. Oh yeah, let me get you up here as well. Indeed. Well, it only took us 3 takes. We got there now. Oh, and hit up Reggie. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of handy to just. Also, that cut down like 30 seconds, which isn't much, but you know, let's not take it too long. So yeah, actually first I'm gonna talk about the build in here, and oh yeah, so actually I do have notes because I did it was like, let's make some notes because I'm gonna first hit the build, then the skills, then the then the weapons, then the skills, and then specialization. And I'm also gonna hit Obliterate Striker and Chest Striker, and that's gonna be like this segment. Yeah, kind of just yeah. Actually, let's start with Obliterate Striker first. Yeah. Does that look good? It looks fine. Yeah, let's just go. And here we are with Striker. You may notice, if you knew Striker from before, not much changed, even though, of course, we have had some recent changes to some brands. That didn't actually matter for the loadout. Even the reduction of the backpack to be less has not actually altered the layout. So we are still rocking a Coyote. We're going with a Cheska piece here with Obliterate. We're keeping Obliterate even though that got reduced as well, as actually that was the changes, of course. Several things that were part of this build, this specific build, Obliterate Striker, got touched. And yeah, my voice is kind of just going. Let me just take a sip here. Apparently my voice doesn't want to cooperate today. We'll just go through it. But yeah, let's delete that one already. Also, yeah, my nose is closing up. I'm becoming very nasally, which kind of, fuck it. I could just try to deepen my voice and just go like this. This is Striker. The Ballad of Striker. Actually, you can even go like Striker. Yeah, let's not. My voice really didn't like that there. Yeah, let's go again. Also, I made this sweaty today. It's because my brain is firing on all cylinders, of course. Yeah, no. We're not that cool. Yeah, let's get going. Yeah. And here we are with the layout for the Obliterate Striker. First off, let's discuss that as we touched on it on Obliterate versus Chest Striker. The difference is literally in that. The Obliterate Striker runs Obliterate as its main talent, or nowadays as well, you could go with other talents. Obliterate was the go-to always in the past, but of course it got a little reduction. And the Chest Striker, instead, uses the Striker chest. You replace one other piece with something different. Well, usually the chests come moving around. And that makes a Chest Striker. That'll be actually the two main variations that we'll go with today, is Obliterate and Chest Strikers. And then we're going to basically swap out weapons, because that's, of course, the things. The weapons can make a difference here in the ranges that you play, how you kind of play. An LMG or AR striker will play quite differently than a SMG striker will. And yeah, let's start actually by discussing what Striker is and does for those uninitiated into this. If you have never run it, on the 2-piece we get some weapon handling, on the 3-piece we get some rate of fire, and that's also kind of the giveaway into what the build kind of is based around, which is that weapon hits increase total weapon damage, although even though it says total weapon damage, this isn't the case. As we went into with the wrong text guide, this is a separate multiplier, so this is basically a separate amp that will stack up here and will not be additive to, for instance, the Obliterate that we have here, which would be total weapon damage. So yeah, it's a separate multiplier. It's 0.65 per stack, although that gets increased, of course, by the backpack that we have here. And it stacks up to 100 times. So 100 stacks of this would be a 65 amp, basically. And then also stacks are lost. 1 stack is lost per second between 0 and 50. 2 stacks are lost between 50 and 100. And actually, if we were to have the chest, if we look at the wording on the chest, 3 stacks are lost between per second between 100 and 200 stacks. So the more stacks you have, the quicker you lose them. What you can read this as is basically that the second part, 2 stacks are lost between 50 and 200. This is 25 seconds. The first part, 1 stack is lost between 0 and 50. Well, that is 50 seconds. So in total, 75 seconds to go from 100 stacks down to 0. And of course, with the 3 per second of 100 to 200, that would be an extra 33 seconds. So it would have 108 seconds available to from full 200 stacks all the way to 0. So yeah, you lose some stacking. You do not lose stacks anymore, of course, for like missing shots and such. It is just time-based. And this is the big strength of Striker. It has a pretty big bonus that is pretty easy to get, because weapon hits is something we're generally going to do. It isn't anything special like taking cover or marking multiple targets or shooting enemies at separate ranges. It is just shoot the enemy. That is the easiness of Striker, and that's also why it is so popular. We'll be using the backpack for all of these builds. The backpack takes the Striker's Gamble, the main talent, from 0.65 per stack to 0.90 or 0.9. That makes it a 90 in total for the 100 stacks version here. That makes it a 180 for the 200 stacks version. That is still enough of an increase that we will pick it over basically going with a high end with a backpack talent. This still beats them overall. And even some of the stronger backpack talents that we could trigger we're not going to go with, because, for instance, you could take Versatile, which is one of the bigger bonuses, and then go SMG and Shotgun. That kind of actually aligns with Strikers, but you wouldn't want to do so because also you give up the Coyote, for instance, in that case. So even though that would be an increase, you would be struggling a little bit more. So for the general use case, we're just going to go with 4 pieces of Striker. And the locations of those don't matter too much, although, of course, if we're going with the Obliterate Striker, this is kind of aligned to have the chest be Obliterate, and then the mask slot, we're going to use the Coyote a lot. The only time to give up the Coyote is when there is already too many Coyotes in the team. Because the Coyote, of course, for its different ranges that we hit, we get increases to crit chance and crit damage. And especially the increases of crit chance, crit damage of this were not touched, of course, where, for instance, the Cheska Brand bonus did get touched. So that got reduced to 8, a 2% loss, which isn't that big of a loss. But this is definitely still felt in some builds. And then, together with that, we're going here with Obliterate Chest, with Obliterate, of course. And Obliterate is basically the same stacking mechanic that Striker has, of stacking up. It is 1 stack, 1% per stack, up to 20 times. And then it decays over if you do not, and that is on crits, critical hits. If you do not get a crit in 10 seconds, then it will fall away directly. It doesn't decay as a Striker does. There's one important thing to know, and this is also why we kind of use an ACS here to go to the weapons already, is that the Strikers can stack per pellet. So when we shoot any shotgun, we'll have 8 pellets. If we shoot it, we get 8 pellets per shot. If all 8 of those hits, each of them will count as a weapon hit for the purposes of Striker. That isn't the case for Obliterate. So Obliterate actually does not stack per pellet. It stacks per shot, even with shotguns. But that still means that it can be handy to have an ACS to do stacking with. Especially a rock and roll can be handy for the 200 stack version. Otherwise, a lefty can be a really good pick for Perfect Sledge to have that in your back pocket to use from time to time. That does mean that, then as well, you would kind of have a specialization to align with that. If we then go actually to the main weapons here, so we're going to swap around the weapons a lot. Strikers is not tied to a certain weapon type. It is not like Heartbreaker, where ARs and LMGs get a bonus. It is not like Hunter's Fury, where SMGs and shotguns get a bonus. It just gives basically rate of fire instead of that. That can be used basically on all weapon types. All weapon types will benefit from this rate of fire. We're going to go with several versions. We're going to do ARs, we're going to do SMGs, and we're going to do LMGs in different forms. And the weapon choice will definitely come down to kind of preference. So for instance, of course, we do have the upgraded DPS tables. I'm going to actually pull this up. I'm going to link those down below as well, of course, as we have them here. Now, of course, on this, we do have the weapons, and some weapons are, of course, -1 mod. I have already actually made the AR and SMG comparison versions, which are in that same folder. I'll link to this folder, which is the AR and SMGs on Striker. Those two have been updated. By the time you see this, LMG might already be started on as well. We can kind of see actually on those, all of the weapons, including the exotics, with several different talents and what the predicted DPS of them is. And of course, we kind of need to apply some knowledge to this, because Striker is, of course, not always on 5 stacks, even though it's all the way up there, of course. Same for like Sadist, will not always be active, because that's just not how Sadist will work. But yeah, you can already kind of peruse through those, but also in the calculation part, we're actually going to go a little bit over several just overall weapon choices. The weapon choice is basically very much up to you. Do pick some of the better, higher RPM is preferred. That does help with stacking. And you do want to take, generally, if you want to be overall meta, basically, you want to pick at meta weapons. There are definitely good picks, and we're going to kind of go into those. Although overall, the exotics do kind of overperform. Let's go actually to the build picture and kind of discuss both Obliterate and Chest Striker kind of more in there. 8 minutes. Okay, that wasn't as bad as long as I thought it was. Batman, yeah. Although that's just generic deep voice. Just yeah. I usually do in the videos. Nowadays, I usually speak pretty fast. I try to not waste too much time. It kind of also, so generally in the build showcases and stuff, I speak pretty fast. The rambling talks are more, you know, rambly and a little bit slower. So, yeah, not a bad deal. Yeah, no, I'm not like I'm kind of like going faster, but that's just yeah, and then that yeah, usually with build showcases, because yeah, there's a lot to talk about. There's definitely a lot. Also, I didn't actually touch on skills, but actually I was kind of thinking of going towards skills, and I was like, oh yeah, on this build picture, I have like a bunch of skills that I recommend, so we'll just use that. Where's my circle? Oh, no, actually, so circle is here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Let's get going. Yeah, let's click here. So, but also, I don't want to really log that there. Yeah. And let's indeed go to the build picture. I'll be linking these below. We're going to go over 3 different build pictures here. One for AR with Obliterate, one with SMG with Obliterate, and of course the chest striker that we were discussing a little bit earlier. Let's start with the AR one. Let's actually zoom in a little bit more. So with the AR one, of course, yeah, we have an AR main. We do have a lot of different both talents and exotics that we can go with now. Although, of course, here we have a few LMGs even in the mix. Overall, what the layout of this will generally be is we do want to take the Coyote, and we can swap out the Coyote if for something else if we have already too many Coyotes. Generally, that is really only a thing inside of Countdown. In general play, unless everybody's kind of set up for it, yeah, some people can lay off of the Coyote. My thing is usually in a 4-man, if 2 people have it, that's kind of enough. I can swap. In Countdown, I would prefer like 3 people to have it, and then I can turn it off. Because, of course, more and more of them, and I can benefit basically from them buffing me, and then having a little bit more damage for myself. And that makes the Coyote kind of the go-to in here, especially if we're solo. The Coyote will beat any other choice you could make here and try to, for instance, put a group of piece in and try to get closer to 60. The Coyote definitely will beat that. And then, yeah, basically that means that the other 4 slots will then become the strikers. And generally as well, I have swap in pieces on my characters on the mask slot. So if I want to have a group of piece, for instance, actually on this character from a different build, I can pull in a group of piece here and increase my damage if there is already too many Coyotes. We didn't discuss skills earlier, but yeah, we can kind of, if I go that way, overall, we'll take an Artificer Hive or a Reviver Hive for our main skill. This is a full red build. We do want to have that ability to get back up if we get downed. It is very handy. It is basically, for a red build, there is no easy other choice there. We could, of course, leave it out if we're kind of confident that we're not going to go down, especially in a 4-man team or something, where it is kind of okay to give up the Revive Hive. But solo especially, yeah, we would want to keep that Revive Hive. Then we have a bunch of skills we could go with. Of course, the shield is very popular. I like the pulse quite a bit, and generally that is what I run. Knowing where things are is very useful. Things like decoy and foam can also be lifesavers. Overall, even having, for instance, an assault drone just to annoy enemies and kind of push them out of cover can be nice. Even, for instance, any of the, not any of the Firefly, but the Demolisher or Blinder Firefly can help you deal with one enemy quite easily. We'll kind of use different skills as well in the gameplay section. Specialization-wise, as you kind of see up here, overall, I would say for an AR version, Gunner, Survivalist, Demolitionist, and Sharpshooter, all 4 are kind of okay picks. You can, of course, go technician, but actually technician, for instance, here would also allow us to go flatline, for instance, weapon talent wise, and even spotter, which of course now is a lot closer to obliterate than it used to be, and is actually somewhat usable. That's also why even in the recommended folder, if we actually go there, as I do want to highlight that the recommended striker folder is the one folder so far that has been upgraded. We even have a spotter version in here, and yeah, you basically then were to go with, for instance, an M4 here, or a fall, or a Kingbreaker, as it says there on the bottom right. If we take spotter, we would at this point take technician, although actually I still have those wrongly there. I'm going to fix that right after the segment. But yeah, that would be, for instance, a good way to go with technician. So that's why that one is missing there. Firewall aligns a lot better with the short range SMG versions. So that will be, actually, yeah, let's fix that. I kind of hate that that's in there. That's fine though. We can kind of, I could maybe even cut in. Nah, let's go over again, because also like I'm a little bit out of focus, which also annoys me. Yeah, let's go fix that for a second. Because also actually, I know here the firewall is there. Okay. Oh yeah, so we need technician from somewhere. One of the tech tanks would have that. Although actually it wouldn't have the text, right? Maybe the FI healer might have. Actually, as well, let's have that open. Let's have the striker. Although, actually, no, I want to open it there. Let's put that at the end there. Okay, yeah, let's redo that. Also, I can be a little bit more clean with that, I feel. Yeah, let's go. So yeah, let me catch up here. Because what do you need? 3 mementos in the backpack? Oh, so I have yeah, that's not a bad question. I have 3 different mementos with 3 different mods. So one has a crit chance mod, one has a crit damage mod, because actually, so I have different builds. Although I could easily like make them all just take the crit damage mod and then put the crit chance somewhere else. But I think actually this is for the high end for the Hunter's Fury, where I need 3 crit chance mods. And then one is headshot. And the reason for them is just to slot them in easily, because like I have the Hunter's Fury here, and then like this one's actually set up, as you can see, it has 2 pieces DNH, which is kind of weird, right? But this is basically set up, either I put in a chain killer, which comes from the hotshot build on this character, or I put in the memento with headshot, and then have a DNH chest and a memento, or have a DNH backpack and the chain. So they're kind of modded, just ready to go. Okay. I've done that a lot. So basically all of my gear, I put different mod into each piece of gear, which is not a recommended way to live. It costs a lot of mods. Oh yeah, actually this gift. I replaced this gift with this gift. Much cleaner. Yeah, that one gets to go. But that does mean that if I want to go from a Cheska chest to, let's say, a Grupo chest, it's already like modded up, and I can just equip this and just, it's there. So it does have benefits, but also it's a little expensive. A bit too much. Yeah, not a bad question. And again, this has different cards for different. Yeah, exactly. It is a little bit overkill. But yeah, most of my characters have at least a crit chance, crit damage one, or well, a crit chance version and a crit damage memento just on them, just to slot in more easily. But yeah, it's a little overkill, but there ain't no kill like overkill. Yeah, let's let's go to this. Let's select this. Yeah, let's go down. And indeed, let's go to the build collection where the build pictures will live. We're going to go over several build pictures, so to call them out specifically 2.02, 4.02, and 1.02. A lot of O2s, that's generally where the slot on the second loadout slot is where I keep my strikers. We're going to go over 2 obliterate versions, the AR one, the SMG one, and then also a chest striker. And yeah, let's start off with this one. We're going to zoom in a little bit. And of course, these will all be linked down below. So if you want to have a look at them for yourself, that can be much easier there. Let's go over strikers. So overall, we're going to keep those 4 pieces of striker, especially for obliterate version, in the holster, knee pad, glove, and backpack. And that's, of course, because we do want to go with a Cheska chest and then a Coyote's mask. And Cheska is still as well, even with the reductions and such. Does beat Fenris, does beat Grupo, does beat, for instance, as well with the chest striker, does beat having a Cheska piece in there, still does beat having a Fox's Prayer, for instance, in there. So generally, we want to have a piece of Cheska. The Coyote is a very good piece to pick, but of course, the Coyote, if there is too many Coyotes, you can swap off. So especially, for instance, in Countdown, if there's 3 or more in 2-man, maybe if there is 2 or more, you can already kind of swap off, because the bonus, of course, is group-wide. So what you could do is benefit from somebody else's buff, and then, for instance, here I would plug in a Grupo's mask that I actually have from a different build on this specific character. That would just be slotted in instead of the Coyote, and then I would benefit both from having the Coyote and the brand bonus, which is, of course, the best of both worlds. So generally, I do keep replacement parts basically for the Coyote in the mask slots, so we can slot those in if need be. And that kind of makes it that this is generally the loadout that I go for obliterates, because even then I replace this with other masks, of course. What we have then for the AR version is that we just, in the past, if you had the Elmo, Elmo used to be 20 crit chance on mods, so you could have all crit damage slots and everything having crit damage, except of course the slot in the Coyote and in the Cheska chest, where you can't double crit damage here, of course. Now we basically need 1 crit chance more. So basically what I've taken to doing is the backpack slot, the mod slot of it has become a crit chance. And that's also for instance, if I want to swap it out, because for some LMGs you could definitely go without, and you could go with a crit damage mod here. It being a mod means that I can quite easily swap it out to be a crit damage. Although, of course, nowadays with tinkering, you can very easily swap your minor talent or your minor attribute here pretty easily from crit damage to crit chance if you need it. So then what we have as well, we didn't discuss skills much, but yeah, kind of behind my head, I'm going to lean that way. The Reviver Hive is a core skill for all red builds, especially if you're solo. It is an extra life. It is invaluable in that way. Even in group settings, in group settings, you can kind of give it up. Not everybody kind of needs to run a Revive Hive. I feel too many people kind of do, actually. It is quite handy sometimes to have, for instance, in a group setting more so, to have 2 skills that are kind of useful together. And then if 1 or 2 people have Revive Hives, they can revive the rest if need be. Then skill-wise, yeah, Shield is a very simple pick that a lot of people go with. It is a little bit of an extra buffer that you can take a little bit more damage. But for me personally, actually, Pulse is my go-to, but I very much enjoy having kind of knowledge of what is happening on the field, and that helps. This helps a lot with awareness. Otherwise as well, having skills such as Decoy or such as Foam can be really good, because Foam can save your life quite often if you're in those engagements where you kind of get rushed by someone if you had a foam instead of, for instance, a shield, quite often, you could survive that engagement. You would foam them to the ground, kind of get behind them. You can shoot them then without them being able to really shoot you. A decoy, of course, can kind of pull aggro away from you. Even things like a blinder firefly or a demolisher firefly can be really useful. Do play around with the skills here, even though this, of course, is not, in any way really a skill build or such. It does make quite a difference which skills you have available to you. That can make the game a lot easier as well. And then, yeah, in this case as well. So we're kind of discussing here the AR striker, even though we can have some LMGs in the corner, but as the AR striker, we can go now with many weapons. We'll kind of go through some of them as well in the spreadsheet section, but my general pick, so the high-end one is generally still FAMAS, especially for this. If you were comfortable with the FAMAS before, you'll be, the FAMAS still does FAMAS things. The F2000 kind of came a little bit down, actually, with its -1 mod. We'll go into, of course, in the future, into an in-depth AR comparison, which we'll kind of discuss everything here. But one thing that definitely stands out is that a lot of the exotics, especially if we look at the bighorn there in the corner, the bighorn is really overpowered at the time being. Same, for instance, as well. Actually, the Strega, if you can keep above 2 stacks, which general activities and such, you definitely can keep it above 2 stacks quite consistently, and especially, if it starts going wrong and more enemies are there than you expected, it makes that part actually easier because now you have also more people to stack off of, basically. The Elmo and the Eagle Bearer definitely also bear mentioning. Both of them kind of compete still with a lot of weapons around them, especially the Elmo is still the handling of it, because even though it has now 20, instead of 20 weapon handling, 10 weapon handling, it is still an M4 that has decent enough damage. It does compete decently with some of the talents on high-end weapons, although definitely not damage talents. It kind of loses out to them quite heftily, but of course it has also 20 more rounds. It is very easy to handle. That shock here and there is actually sometimes useful, but also sometimes a hindrance. But the Eagle actually outperforms it as well. And the Eagle, of course, solo, you could make that talent work. That talent of getting a headshot kill, making you quite resistant to damage for a little bit. And if you get enough headshot kills, you basically waive the damage that happened. You can definitely make that work solo. And now the Eagle Bearer is definitely in the contention. But overall, I would say that several of the standouts are especially a Bighorn. Strega is a standout. Technically as well, Chameleon is a standout, but Chameleon has its own issues. Damage-wise, though, especially now with the body shots being reduced amounts that you have to hit, it is a contender. I also have here actually as LMGs, Bullet King and the Pestilence. The Pestilence is definitely kind of the standout amongst the LMGs at the moment, but Bullet King is actually still pretty good as well. We'll kind of see those in the numbers and all of it. But then on the high end, so I still prefer Fast Dance. Fast Dance is not a damage talent per se. It is not a burst DPS talent. It is a sustained DPS talent technically. But what it is to me as well is a shorter reload, and I die in the reloads generally. If you kind of look at your footage and such, the second that you kind of don't have the ability to shoot is the point that you can't really affect the outcome anymore. To me, the Fast Dance isn't so much about bursts or sustained DPS. It's much more about having the agency. So as long as I can keep shooting, I can try to headshot the enemy, stagger them. I can try to blow up some weak points. There is things I can do as long as I have bullets. And this makes me have bullets more often, basically. Otherwise, we have a few highlighted talents here. Measured, even though, of course, in the past, this was the red-headed stepchild. It no longer is. It turns out that red-headed stepchild grew up to be a beautiful lady or man, depending on how you want to look at it. But yeah, they really grew up out of puberty very beautifully, and measured basically now as a general runaround talent, because also it has no prerequisites. It isn't on kill. It isn't tied to, for instance, as well, rate of fire and such. It is somewhat build reliant, but we'll also actually in the future kind of go into that, not per se in this video, where if you have less total weapon damage, let's say a chest striker, it actually performs even better. So then we have Killer. As a solo play damage talent, I would go Killer overall. Killer is now a really high amount. With a build that is at 60 crit chance, you can definitely, that is generally going to be on 60 crit chance, you can definitely make Killer proc quite often, and it is very strong. Preservation as well, actually, as a cheap talent that will help you heal a little bit. You could, of course, pair Gunner. You could even pair, for instance, if there are enough Coyotes in the team, to have Palisade as an option as well. And then also Preservation to actually get decent amounts of recovery. Let's go on to the SMG version now. So what actually happens in the SMG version is not much. We basically just go to a Grupo chest instead. Here with the... as I fumbled that one. Here with the Ouroboros, for instance, where we don't have the ability to change mods, we kind of need that Grupo in there. But of note is actually that now we can actually take 10 crit damage mods instead of in the past where there were 5 crit damage mods. And we can, for some weapons, actually, for instance, still go Cheska and then take a weapon and then flip the crit chances on it to crit damages. And actually, the Cheska comes out slightly ahead. But as a general recommendation here, I'm just going to put Grupo here just because also it will fit for the exotics. And the exotics are definitely the standouts as well in the SMG category. Here, not much has changed. This is the same Obliterate. We do now have Firewall as an option as well. And then we would also have the Striker Shield as an option. Not highlighted here, but the Striker Shield, of course, can allow you to do more damage, which, yeah, is a potent action. The weapons that I would generally pick now, especially if you're high-end, going for high-ends, things like the TAC Vector and the Vector 9mm, so the 19-round base and the 32-round base vectors. Both of those are really standouts. The TAC Vector especially as well now, I feel, is really good. Talent-wise, we can kind of go in the same direction of measured and killer or preservation. One as well to kind of have is Dark Winter. Dark Winter actually currently has, at the time of recording of this, has the old bases. So it has the old Vector 45 base, the old Vector 45 reload as well, which is also shorter. So it has basically last season's stats. That is, of course, not intended, one would think. It does also seem to be the only named that kind of has this. But that makes it a lot better than its... Now, basically, the Vector 45 is definitely a reduced. It is reduced. It basically got nerfed to be a lot weaker than the Dark Winter now is. So for the time being, a Dark Winter is definitely a pick. But actually, in general, if you're going for Killer, the TAC Vector with Killer will actually outcompete a Dark Winter, but not by much. And a Dark Winter is actually much easier to get because if you get it from a named cache or something, you can definitely go with that. Then we have the big elephant in the room, which is Chatterbox. And Chatterbox is definitely, for solo play, one of the top picks now for SMGs. It beats the Oreo quite handily, going above 3 stacks, actually, just over 2 stacks of it. The 2 stacks is just below the new Oreo. The 3 stacks is way beyond it. And then we have 2 more stacks to go. So the Chatterbox, if you can make it work, so this is kind of dependent, of course, if you're going up against, let's say, right in the incursion, this isn't a great pick because you get 1 stack when you reload. Except if you like, for 1 mag, you might get more than that if you did it with the ads around. But if you're just doing activities where you're just killing multiple enemies, you're not fighting names much, yeah, Chatterbox is a way go-to. Then here as well, we have, of course, with the Grupo, with that piece, we don't per se need a Cheska piece. So if we were to replace the Coyote, the Sokolov is the obvious pick. Although, of course, one of the reasons as well where we go, for instance, on that one as well with Grupo, on the AR one, we went with Grupo instead of Fenris, even though Fenris actually does add more to especially the AR on that, is that it's a tiny amount more on for instance, here as well, the SMG. But then you would actually lose damage if you were to use your secondary. And quite often, especially with something that eats a lot of ammo like the Oreo, I want to have a secondary that I can kind of use as well. So generally as well, here Sokolov would beat Grupo by a tiny amount, but I still would prefer the Grupo here because it applies to both weapons. One other, as well, as we talked about a little bit earlier, is Palisade. We could slot in a piece of Palisade for more armor on kill, which can be really handy. Let's go to the last one here, which is the Chest Striker. Now, of course, the Chest Striker, if we actually as well go into the game, one of the things with Striker that is nice, and I feel few people do it, or they just pick one or the other. To me, a lot of people discuss this as like, it's one or the other. No, I generally have a chest available at the ready. I have a holster available as a swap-in piece. We can go from a Obliterate Striker to a Chest Striker in seconds. I have the pieces at the ready. So for instance, as well, this is actually how it is saved. And then for instance, this striker piece is not saved anywhere, but this is just hanging loose in my inventory to come in to make it an Obliterate Striker when I need to. And that's what I would recommend doing with striker builds, is just having both options. It is well worth having that. And of course, what the striker chest does is that we now can stack to 200. We do lose Obliterate, of course, for that, but the 200 stacks of the chest striker is much higher of a damage. That does mean, though, that, yeah, we need to stack to 200. That also generally means that you do need to do a little bit of ACS stacking. So stacking with the ACS to stack faster than a weapon normally could do. You have to see the ACS as basically being 300 times 8. Basically, it is 300 RPM, although actually it's even on Striker, so it's even more than that. But if we were to take 300, it is basically times 8. That is the max you could stack, basically times 8 pellets. That's 2400 RPM. No other weapon like a FAMAS or even a Vector will keep up to that if you're hitting most of your pellets. Of course, you're not, but then also, yeah, actually, it's technically also higher RPM than that. So we're just doing quick calculation there. If you do generally keep this up, and the old number used to be 150 stacks, you would generally need to be above 150 stacks for the chest to be more worth than going Obliterate. I do actually have a new number for you. Let's actually give that here. And that is that at 142 stacks now, we have, as we'll go into the numbers in a little bit, at 142 stacks, we will have beaten an Obliterate Striker with a Chest Striker. So actually, it's less stacks now, although of course just 8. That's not significant, but yeah, that does make a little bit of a difference to make the Chest Striker actually more general usable. And this, of course, just outputs more damage as long as you have more stacking than that. Then as well, there is a side deal here as well, that we don't have any total weapon damage here anymore. That means actually that measured goes up on average basically another %. So because we don't have anything adding to that pool anymore, the measured kind of goes up. So it does kind of affect also talent choices and such that way. But yeah, let's actually go to those calculations that I just kind of introduced a little bit and kind of go through those. Wow, that was way too long. How long was that? 17 minutes. I almost want to like do it again and try to cut out like 5 minutes of that. Yeah, it's fine. We'll go through the numbers in like 8 and then go into gameplay. Yeah, let me catch up here as well. Oh yeah. And hey, Randy. And yeah, I'm doing good. We're kind of recording here, so yeah, kind of not checking up on chat quite often, but we'll check in between. I didn't feel I got that rambly, but I almost want to redo that section because 17 is too long. Because I feel I can condense that by a lot. Or maybe just leave shit out. Also, why am I... So generally what I usually have is I have a stopwatch running. Just so I can kind of see how long I've been going. Yeah, let's. We can always keep that. I'm gonna keep it as an option. but I feel I can cut that like 5 minutes shorter. Yeah, let's gonna do a little of that, so I'm not as shiny. Yeah, let's. Yes, let's. Okay, yeah, we start on the build collection, of course. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that again. And let's go to those build pictures. Those, of course, live in the build collection. The build collection is slowly getting updated. I've basically so far only really done the strikers and actually the striker recommended. So there is actually a striker recommended folder all the way up here that you can go into, which has a bunch of striker builds here as well. Although, of course, we're kind of covering some of them here, although some not. For instance, there's also a focused version in there. Let's go to our first build picture, which is of that Obliterate Striker that we were kind of looking at a second ago. Let's zoom in a little. Overall, yeah, what we have is that with Striker, we go with, we want to have, of course, 4 pieces of Striker. Overall, with Obliterates, that's going to be this layout, where we have the backpack, the glove, the knee pads, and the holster. The chest, of course, if we're going Obliterate, we need it to be a high-end chest. That's kind of what that indicates. But then also, yeah, one of the best pieces to go for is the Coyote's Mask. So we'll be slotting that into here. With the Coyote's Mask taking that up slot, yeah, that kind of makes this layout. Coyote generally does beat any other option we could put here. So if we were to go with just the Grupo and try to maximize out our crit chance, the Coyote basically beats it on short range and mid range quite consistently. And that's actually the reason to generally go for the Coyote, even solo. Then, of course, in a group setting, we might have too many Coyotes. So in Countdown, that would be generally more than 3. In 2-man, even 2 maybe might be enough for you to swap off of it. Because then you would get the Coyote buff from somebody else, and you could, for instance, yourself have a Grupo Mask, or even something else like a Palisade or such as a filler in there. But yeah, with this layout, this is the Obliterate version, of course. For ARs now, we would need 1 crit chance. So generally here, I'm putting it in the backpack slot, so I can also swap it out to a crit damage if I were to want to swap this maybe to an SMG, where we would have a lot more crit damage, for instance. We just need 1 now. So in the past, with the Elmo, we didn't need any. We would basically put crit damages everywhere. We would just have the crit chances where they have to be on the mask and on the chest. Everything else would be crit damage, and that would be enough. Now, of course, we have basically all of the weapons are a little bit less. So yeah, we need, the Elmo itself is a little bit less, but also the Elmo itself is no longer the top pick. That's also why I'm kind of presenting these with high ends here. And then also, yeah, we have a lot of the exotics there. We'll discuss them in a second. So yeah, we need 1 crit chance basically somewhere on the gear. That could be anywhere, of course, if you prefer to have it on one of the minor attributes, that can be there as well. And then, yeah, specialization-wise, we kind of want to go with Gunner, Survivalist, Demolitionist, or Sharpshooter here for the high-end, or just for the AR version. For the SMG version, we could also add Firewall there. Technician, you could go with as well. And actually, I do have a layout in the recommended folder, which is just to put Flatline in there. And also, actually, Spotter. So actually, now that Obliterate is a little bit less, one thing we could kind of discuss is that Spotter is then 5% less, but it's always active, but doesn't also have like a damage downside, at least a damage to you downside. Then we have Obliterate in the middle, 20%. It does need to stack. That's not too hard to do, of course, because yeah, in 38-ish rounds, you can kind of stack it up to full to that 20% stacks. And then it retains for 10 seconds. But of course, yeah, again, Spotter basically from the first shot is that. And then we have also Glass, which is 25% or 30% for the perfect, but you also take incoming damage as a downside. There is actually now, I feel, a much more, you could go with different talents. And of course, with Technician, we would also, quite easily be able to go Flatline, which is still a very good talent to pick. So I just wanted to highlight that one for a second. Let's actually discuss the skills here as well, because overall I would generally pick Reviver Hive for a red build, especially solo. In a group setting, you could give up this and go with more utility skills there. Mostly as well if 2 people already, for instance, are running hives, they could revive the rest, especially if you're kind of in a coordinated team and it's not just a random matchmate. Then, yeah, shield is pretty good, just extra buffer. Pulse is one of my preferred one. It is awareness. It improves awareness immensely. You know kind of where enemies are, what they are, kind of what animations they are in as well, which kind of can help a lot. Things like a decoy or a foam can also be very powerful. Same, for instance, for a blinder firefly or a demolisher firefly. Do play around with your skills. I feel this part is very important and can actually make quite a difference. A team that is kind of using their skills, or even a single player that is kind of using their skills well and consistently, will perform a lot better than a team that doesn't. Going back to the weapon, so weapon-wise, we can go with a lot of weapons. FAMAS is still overall the high-end king for this. Also, with it being one of the higher fire rates. Sitar as well actually can be a good choice here. Fall, for instance, is high on the burst, but it is 200 RPM less. So you do stack a little bit less, but M4, for instance, as well is kind of competitive now. We'll have an in-depth look into ARs on strikers in a separate video somewhere in the future, not too long in the future, actually, because yeah, the comparison is kind of done, so we just need to go through it. My general pick is still going to be the FAMAS. I kind of like the FAMAS, actually, and how it handles, so I'm definitely not against that. Then we can go to the talent. I generally do like Fast Dance. Fast Dance is a general pick for me. It's not so much about the sustained DPS, which it adds a lot. It adds, of course, nothing to burst DPS. It is just a sustained DPS talent. It changes the reload. It did get reduced, but it isn't reduced to an amount that is kind of unworkable. And what this does is cut into the reload time. And that is actually much more the thing for me. I don't care that much that it is the sustained DPS is much higher. I care more that the time that I don't have bullets in my gun, that is shorter. And that means whenever you do have bullets in your gun, you could be shooting a weak point, you could be shooting a flame barrel in the world, CCing enemies. You could be shooting them and just staggering them. You can affect your outcome. You have agency, basically. And that matters a lot to me. So that is the reason I generally go with Fast Hands. Overall, it is a talent that I'm just so accustomed to that it's kind of hard to give up. But I should overall do so often as, for instance, we have now Measured, which used to be the red-headed stepchild, but then they grew up to be a beautiful lady or man, whichever you prefer. But yeah, they grew up out of puberty to be, very beautiful. And yeah, Measured is definitely now a really high pick. So well worth picking as a general one as well, where in the past, Strained or Optimist would be such picks, because it isn't also reliant on kill or some such. It is basically active as long as you're kind of firing. Killer for solo play is the go-to now, I feel. It is, especially with a build that generally will live in 60 crit chance. This will proc more often than not, and overall this increase of this, especially if you're not competing for the kills, the increase of killer is kind of unmatchable by a lot of other things. Preservation is also still a good choice. If we're going to go talk about ARs and then also include the exotics, overall the Elmo and the Eagle Bearer are kind of still solid A's. They perform pretty well, even of course not having a damage talent. They do have 60 rounds for the Eagle, 70 rounds for the Elmo. That does help them quite a bit, actually. The Elmo still as well is, even with 10 weapon handling less, it was always an M4, so it always already was really a flat shooter, so that helps a lot as well. The Eagle actually solo can be really good if you make use of its talent and kind of proc that, as you can use that to basically reduce incoming damage or negate it fully, especially if you can get enough headshot kills with it. But both of them are kind of mid-tiers. The Bighorn is definitely very high up, even without its talent stacked in and kind of just using it as an AR. If you kind of can aim for the heads, this will outperform almost everything else in a practical sense. The Strega with 2 stacks or above is really competitive, and 3 stacks and above, and it basically it has no competition at that point, outside of sadist weapons or such, which do not have the uptime that you would need from them. Chameleon also should be actually noted here as it is now with the body shot active, pretty high up there. And especially if you're doing things that can keep that body shot active going, because of course, if you do it under 45 seconds, it basically resets to full. If you get out of combat in 45 seconds, depending on what you're doing, especially, for instance, more so in activities and such, some missions especially don't have long fights. That can be a choice. And now, especially with the reduced number needed to stack, and actually it has a little bit more optimal range, the Chameleon actually doesn't look too bad. We also have the Bullet King and the Pestilence here. We'll kind of discuss them actually when we go into the calculations part, as we'll kind of go over some of the different choices we can do, and LMGs are in there. If we go to the SMG version for here, we're going to go with a Grupo chest. So one thing we can do actually now is the crit damage mods are no longer 5 versus the 5 crit chance mods. They're now 10, of course. So actually with some weapons, especially for instance with a Vector, we could even go with 3 crit damage mods, and that's actually better than still to go that plus a Cheska over this Grupo. But we're maining an Oreo here. The Oreo is still competitive, but that would mean that, yeah, we don't have much control over our mods. This then as well is actually kind of set up to be in groups, because we're generally going to try to be in close range. But this is then kind of expecting others, coyotes, to be in the mid-range and then help us out, or ourselves to sometimes be in the mid-range. But if you were to just set this up for solo and you do get into close range quite consistently, you might want to go Cheska here and just be at 60 and then just kind of be only reliant on the close range buff. But yeah, the Grupo, of course, yeah, we can kind of lose a little bit of crit chance there, basically. If we got to go to weapons here again as well, Oreo is actually still pretty decent. One thing to also remember with this, as while attack vector actually can kind of outdo it, as we'll also kind of look into when we go into the SMG comparisons on strikers, in-depth look somewhere in the future. The Oreo still does have more RPM, and that does stack a little bit faster still. So there is still value to the Oreo, and damage-wise, it can keep up with basically attack vector that is running measured, and it loses quite hard if killer or such kind of comes into the equation. But this still does make for a decent all-rounder. That's also why I've still kept it there. But the other SMG wise, the attack vector and the SMG, both of the 9mm ones, so the attack vector and the 9mm SPR, both of those are pretty good picks. They are actually kind of standouts in the SMG category. Same for the Dark Winter. The Dark Winter currently still has the old, like last season's base damage and reload, which does help it a lot because its base damage got reduced, its reload got made longer. So it is actually better than the Vector 45. So currently as well that, and then of course it has Perfect Killer, which has 20% more crit damage. But the very much one of the standouts here is the Chatterbox. The Chatterbox at kind of just above 2 stacks would beat the current Oreo. At 3 stacks or above, it beats the Oreo, and then it has 2 more stacks to go. The Chatterbox to me is very much kind of imbalanced. I kind of already said in my thoughts on the BDS that it should either keep its talent or it should keep its new base damage, because its base damage went up, or well, its base DPS went up. It got to keep both, and it kind of shows. It is definitely, if you can keep it going, it can be the strongest thing. But of course, it doesn't work in all situations. But for activities and such, which is something that we do a lot, it does work well. Overall, I would still maybe put this more in Hunter's Fury than with Strikers, because with Strikers as well, you're stacking up first, which does eat into the ability to, at the start, kind of keep this going. But if you kind of ACS stack first and then start using the chatter, it can work well. But of course, if you're ACS stacking, you might already kill an enemy or two, and you're kind of eating then into the stacks there. So it is a little bit sometimes awkward with it, but you can definitely make it work. Although I would say it works overall a little bit better maybe on Hunter's Fury. Let's go to the last one here, which is Chest Striker. And actually, I just wanted to briefly in-game show. So a lot of people see like Chest Striker and Obliterate Striker as like different loadouts to save, or like different characters or such. Overall, I would say that, or maybe just they're really towards one and they only run Chest Striker and don't want to learn Obliterate ever. I wouldn't recommend that. So what I have on basically all of my characters is, for instance, yeah, this loadout is saved like this on this character. But then I have a Cheska chest, which comes from different builds. And I have a holster, which is actually a loose part just hanging around in my inventory. And suddenly we're Obliterate Striker. And that is actually kind of handy to have replacement parts to go into this and just turn an Obliterate Striker into a Chest Striker or back. And of course, what we get with the Chest Striker is that we can now go to 200 stacks, and because of that, we gain a much larger amp out of strikers. So this can then go up to 180 amp, basically 200 stacks of 0.9. And that is the highest overall, like just easy to get to damage that we kind of have. Now, of course, something like Headhunters and such can technically do more, and of course one tap things. Negotiator technically with 3 stacks as well on 3 enemies can outdo this, but strikers can kind of consistently do this. Getting to 200 stacks, you do need to kind of stack with the ACS at this point. You got to remember that the ACS, basically that 300 RPM that it has, it's basically time 8 pellets. That means 2400 RPM. And then actually, yeah, strikers would be 1.15 to that. I'm not going to calculate that in my head right now, but yeah, so 2400 RPM, nothing gets close to that. But now, of course, that is 8 pellets. You're going to miss a pellet here or there, especially if you're not at point blank range. But overall, even if we half that, you're missing half your pellets, that's still 1200. That's still going to beat, for instance, the FAMAS here. And you can generally land more than that. With the Chest Striker, yeah, we do need to stack up to there, and we can also kind of actually discuss already that we'll go into the numbers in a second, although actually I do need to go there and check for a second, is that at 142 stacks, so it used to be that at 150 stacks, you would need to generally be above 150 stacks for the Chest Striker to beat the Obliterate Striker. That is now 142 stacks, or 143. It's 142 and some numbers past the decimal point. So let's say 143 stacks. So actually that did come down a little bit because, of course, yeah, Obliterate kind of lost a little bit. That is generally achievable for a lot of content, but also for a lot of content it isn't. So this is the thing. This is a choice that you make. Basically, that's why I have both options available. This is a choice that I make depending on what I'm going to do. For instance, as well, if you're in a group, scaling kind of goes up. If you are a strong player in a weak team, you can get to 200 stacks a lot faster. If you are an average player in a really strong team, you might be better off with just the Obliterate version, because they might kill everything before you have an option to stack, or if there's really big buffs active, like the short range buff in Countdown, that can also kind of affect that, of course. And basically with the chest as well, our weapon changes doesn't change much, but actually of note, we're losing, of course, any and all total weapon damage. So in this case, measured, which actually does have total weapon damage in its second part, not having total weapon damage there means we're actually gaining more from measured on that second part than the Obliterate variant, and that is a % or 2 difference. So that actually does make a difference to, for instance, have measured here. Same as well, actually, if we're getting an FI buff. Here, now the FI buff, which is total weapon damage as well, is not adding to anything else, so it's a full 25%. So there are reasons, for instance, as well, to also theory craft in those ways. Same, for instance, if you were to get Overwatch from others or such, or Empathic Resolve. So yeah, let's actually go look at those numbers a little bit and kind of discuss how Striker now looks. That was still long, and I didn't start my stopwatch. That was longer. It's fine. I feel better about that one anyway. Like, the other one kind of felt rambly. That other one. Yeah, wait, how the hell was it 18 minutes? What? That one, yeah, that one was better though. Anyway, so more like we actually said more. So yeah, let's reset this because that one's in the wrong mode. We'll just do the calculations quick. So where do I go? I go here. Yeah, well, we'll start here. Yeah. That's just gonna. And here we have a spreadsheet that I prepared earlier. This will be linked down below, of course, as well, so you can kind of read along if you wish to. What we have here is the strikers with obliterate and the strikers with chest. If we look at those two first, we can kind of see the difference between an obliterate striker at full stacks and a chest striker at full stacks. Now, both of these, of course, are now at full stacks, but that's 100 stacks more for the chest striker. We do get 22% more out of it. We are still just using a FAMAS with both of them. This is without the damage talent. The chest striker has the potential to do more damage. The potential, though, again, doesn't mean that it will. So we were discussing earlier that we needed how many stacks we needed. So to match these two up, this amp would need to be 128, because basically, actually, that is the calculation of these two. So if we take a 1.2 and a 1.9 amp and we put those together, we get a 1.28 amp, basically, or a 2.28 amp, I should say. That's a 128 amp here as a percentage separately. So that's the, and that would be, if we calculate it out into stacks, which I'm doing on that right side there, which will kind of, which is this one, it's 142.2 stacks. That's what we need to cross over between above this, so above 143 stacks, technically then. Above 143 stacks, chest striker beats obliterate striker. So yeah, that's well worth knowing. So generally, if you are above, kind of actually that's same like 150 stacks. If you're generally above 150 stacks, the chest striker is the way to go. So if you, and that is somewhat in your control, right? You can stack with the ACS better. You can try to just stack well. If we, as I actually accidentally locked the wrong thing there. If we then look, actually, so this next one up here is a glass red, a common build that we used to run. We generally know that they are less than obliterate striker, but yeah, this is how much less. It's basically 28%, 27.2% less. Glass reds have always been a little bit weaker than it, but then also as well, we should look at obliterate striker at 0 stacks and at 50 stacks. So the thing is, of course, that a striker needs to stack. This glass high-end can lose its vigilance, but it can't be less than this, basically. It is from the first shot, it is this burst CPS. But then, yeah, we kind of see that at 0 stacks, yeah, striker does look pretty bad, but then once it gets going, and that's the thing, you can very easily stack, and just with the main weapon. If you're shooting and you're killing enemies, you're stacking up. If you're just, you don't need to do anything special. That is really the strength of striker. At 50 stacks, we can see that it's actually already beyond it. One thing that we already also kind of always looked at is that how many stacks do we need on striker to kind of beat the glass red. We kind of have that same here. So actually, it turns out that at 66 stacks, actually this is at 50, so this was already at this. So 66 stacks becoming a 60 amp, as we have here. That's the point where the 50 stack striker beats the glass. So actually, yeah, if we just put this at 45, which is 50 stacks, which is where it should have been actually, we can kind of see that linearly goes up. So it's at 38%, then 66%, and it goes up to 100% for the full stack striker. But yeah, you do lose a 50 stacked obliterate striker is going to lose, for instance, still to a vigilance. So yeah, it needs 66 stacks now with its reductions to obliterate, to the backpack and such, which is more than the 42 that used to be in the past. So there is a little bit of like in comparison, the glass red has moved up a little bit. Mostly the striker has moved down, but not by much. And generally getting 66 stacks on strikers isn't hard. And at that point, you're beating a glass red. You're not beating an obliterate red even, you're beating a glass red, which, yeah, that's kind of the reasons why high ends have kind of been phased out somewhat. If we also kind of compare to the old, so this is 221 strikers with its numbers. So actually even with the FAMAS still at that number, which is actually less, as the FAMAS actually went up a little bit in its base damage. We can see that actually the old striker was 7%. So if everything's comparing to this FAMAS or this Obli FAMAS in the top spot, so that's 7%. Actually, out here, we have it compared to basically the old versions versus the new versions. We have 7% when it comes to the obliterates versus each other. But actually, we have only 4.5% when it comes to the backpack strikers. Because, yeah, the backpack strikers not losing a little bit in, or chest strikers, I should say. The chest striker not losing, chest plus backpack. Strikers not losing a little bit of obliterates amount. That is that difference. So yeah, basically the backpack, the chest strikers have lost just a little bit over 4.5%. So it's not a big loss to them, although of course it eats a little bit into them, and that does bring them kind of in line to some other builds. If we're going to go for weapon choices, and this one might be worth kind of looking through it for yourself as well, so kind of go through this very quickly. The obliterate FAMAS, so if we kind of put it against the Eagle and the Elmo, we kind of see that the Elmo and the Eagle, as everything is kind of comparing to that FAMAS in the top slot, they look to kind of be ahead. But of course, this FAMAS, we haven't actually put in any weapon talent here yet. So if we were to take measured, which is kind of going to be around 11% for this FAMAS, it's actually a little bit more than that, but just to kind of take that as the baseline, we're going to see that the measured FAMAS is ahead of most of these, except, of course, for the Bighorn. Now, here the Bighorn, actually, if you want to play around with this one for yourself, one thing that I have here is that we have the Bighorn stacks at the right side there. Circle on it. Of the Bighorn stacks almost off the screen there. How many Bighorn stacks we have? So if this is at 0, actually, we can see that the Bighorn is almost, and this is at basically 20% headshot rate, 60% DTA, and at grade 27, although the grading doesn't matter for this one per se, that the Bighorn is almost as high as the FAMAS, even with 0 stacks. As long as we're kind of having that as well in the 20% headshot rates range. If we put this, yeah, at 25, which is the max stacks that it can have, yeah, the Bighorn jumps up way beyond it. So actually, if you're headshotting a little bit, that Bighorn is kind of unbeatable in the AR category. If we kind of go to the vectors, or to the SMGs in the green here, actually, let's give all of these kind of that same 11, just to as a comparison point, just because we can put these weapon as a kind of indication of a weapon talent, basically, or well measured in this case. We can see that the SMGs actually do outperform the ARs, and that's always been the case, even with the reductions. They used to be actually a little bit higher, but yeah, SMGs do outperform ARs. But of course, they have limitations of range, so they don't reach out as well as far. So that is of course their like balancing factor. That measured version of the attack vector kind of beats the Oreo just barely. So yeah, that's kind of where the Oreo kind of now stands. It can lose to a vector, but of course, yeah, while it loses like on 2% there, it actually has like 7% more sustain just because it has a 50 round magazine. So it still competes with a measured attack vector, I feel. Even though it does lose on burst, this sustain being 7% higher. And also, of course, yeah, it has 11 rounds more basically and a better reload. So there is still value to the Oreo, and also it stacks up a little marginally faster because, of course, it has a little bit more RPM. So that does matter. But then we have the Chatterbox, and this is the Chatterbox at 5 stacks, and we see that it dwarfs everything here. It just eats everything for breakfast. If we were to put this at 0 stacks, we see that it actually kind of like drops to be way below everything else. If we put this at, let's put it at 3, we can see already that, yeah, it beats everything else. So generally having 3 stacks is going to be enough for the chatterbox to kind of beat everything around it. And that's the thing. 3 stacks is kind of pretty easy to keep going, because generally you will have some enemies around you. Even when 1 stack, it isn't, it is basically around an AR's amount. If we put it on 1 stack there, it is kind of, you know, it's 7% less. So generally if you have 1 or 2 stacks, you're already competing okay. And then if you have, if you have 3 stacks, you're doing well. And then if you have 5 stacks, it goes through the roof. Here we have as well the Obliterate version with an MG5. So the Infantry MG5 actually loses out to the MG5, the 2 mod version, the 2 mod plus magazine version. So it is definitely worth picking that one. Overall, we can kind of see that, yeah, it can definitely, for instance, this here as well is without, or this with measured, for instance, which is generally not, although, well, with MG5 you kind of can now. It has a fast enough reload that you kind of can. But I would generally still pick maybe fast hands with it. And if we were to pick fast hands with it, and we kind of take away that number there, we can see that's actually kind of like 600k above a Bullet King. The Bullet King is actually now pretty competitive, especially if you're going fast hands and such. Bullet King might be a general pick. Also as well, you get ammo coming back from it. But of course, yeah, if you're willing to, for instance, have measured, you can actually outburst it, but you can't sustain the Bullet King. Of course, the Bullet King basically has a zero reload. One other standout, of course, as we talked about, was the Pestilence, and the Pestilence is really high on its burst as well. It kind of almost keeps up with an weapon with without a damage talent, and of course, then it does technically kind of have a weapon down. So here, what we're going to take is the Pesty Tick is basically 5 times the body shot one here. If we take that number and we kind of combine the two, we have a combined version here, and that kind of actually competes with a measured MG5 here. The Pestilence actually kind of, but then of course this is having a full stack on one person, which is, this is kind of the tricky part, right? Like, how do you quantify the Pestilence stack? Because sometimes you only get like 10 stacks on someone. Sometimes you might have like 2 full stacks going onto 2 different people, just because that worked out that way. So, but the Pestilence just in play as well. The only real big downside is that reload of it. If we kind of go to this last one quickly, it's kind of actually the outputs of the Obliterate version with coyotes at different ranges. So first with 15 to 25, the main range I would consider that is active, and 0 to 15 and 25 plus. If we were to replace the coyote with either Grupo or Fenris, so at the 15 to 25, it still beats them. It does lose out against them now because we're actually landing on 51 now instead of 53 with high end. It does actually lose out barely to them, basically on the 0 to 15 range, and also on the 25 plus, because these will apply more bonuses basically. But overall, I still would pick the coyote, because as long as you're in the right range, you're basically doing 1% more. You're doing 1% less when you're not in the right range, and this then still kind of, to me, beats those. One thing as well, if we were to, instead of the coyote, take a palisade, we would kind of lose like 5%. So a little bit over 5%. That is the brand bonus, basically. That's the talent of the coyote kind of factored in, because we're kind of replacing that, or from the Grupo or such, or the Fenris, going to the palisade. We're of course giving up damage for utility, so we can have 10% armor and kill, but then we do lose a little under 5% of our damage. Is that worth it? Sometimes I would say yes. Sometimes I would definitely say yes. This second set, though, is what if we get Coyote from somebody else? So we have basically a Coyote factored in always, even though these don't have Coyote. So these are with Cheska and then Grupo, Chesco Fenris, Chesco Fox, and Chesco Palisade. This one is also mostly to show that Fox is still not kind of worth going for. It loses to Grupo, it loses to Fenris. Fenris technically beats Grupo as the second piece if you have Cheska Fenris. Overall, though, as I had on the build picture as well, it is such a tiny amount at least with these factors, because keep in mind that I am putting it at 20% headshot, and we're kind of putting it at a 90% detalk. Although even if you put this detalk at 100, Foxes does still not win against Grupo. It does win once we hit to 100% headshot rate. Although actually no, it doesn't. I thought it did actually there, but it still loses there. Once we take the headshot up, the Grupo actually does fall away a little bit because actually this isn't correctly linking here. That's why, because it should win by 100%, but this part is broken. The Palisade, though, we could still actually slot in the Palisade, and then we kind of lose like 4%, actually. So if we're getting Coyote from somewhere else, I generally go with Grupo, and I generally go with Palisade as my picks. So yeah, let's actually go and, after all this yapping, let's go actually play this builds. There we go. 15 there as well. Wait, how long is this part already? 35. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, let's go here. Also, let me catch up on chat. That's kind of first in my own world, kind of for there. Let's already actually take this back to White House. I'm not sure where yeah, exactly. There'll be a test after. Where was I here? Oh, Delta and Summit? Okay. Was Summit generally, like, I didn't play much in Summit. Is it just happening a lot, or is it not? Or is it like just, because yeah, sometimes a random one sometimes just happens. Weapon damage upgrade from Memento correlate to higher pestilence. Take a cell with you that claimed it did not. No, it does. The thing is though that a vigilance or like the Lengmo perfect unstoppable force, basically total weapon damage applies as well. So a vigilance will beat a Memento like by quite a bit. Because also, in that same way, it's a separate multiplier. So, but yeah, no, Memento's 50 or 30 weapon damage applies to Bestie. But it just, yeah, it doesn't align super well with it. Because, yeah, a backpack talent would add a lot more. Because that 25% is as a separate multiplier on top, especially if you're going glass. Yeah, let's actually stopwatch up again. So I'm gonna go up here. They will usually reintroduce the build and then take it out. So I'm gonna do the control point and a bounty with this, I feel. Actually, can I get the server restarting to go away? Let's log out. Log in. Actually, let's log in on a different character. That usually fixes it, and then we'll load back in on the other one.
Safe area entered.
Still trying. It's gonna annoy me the whole time there. Yeah, let's quit and restart. That usually takes it away, right? I'll boot up again. Remember to check audio before I actually start recording. And yeah, and hey there, Gustav as well. Seen a few deltas. That's annoying. I haven't been in Summit much, but also yeah, generally like annoyingly not many people run Summit. But hopefully if they have a fix, maybe if they become aware of it, they can apply that fix there as well. Coming in. Load. So doing the... Oh, yeah. It's doing the thing again. It didn't actually load. That's annoying. Oh, it's already... Take way longer to... Although, that's always the case, isn't it? Like, recording those parts always takes, like, forever. Especially when I, like, do redos and actually even make it longer and shorter. Yeah, it's fine, though. It's... I mean, that's basically closer to, like... It has some factors of like a masterclass, because we're not just discussing one version of it. Yeah, let's all this just to get that server restarting to go away.
Safe area detected.
Oh, also, yeah. These are off. No. Yeah. Wait, let's actually have that there, so I don't need all those open anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do the intro to the spell and then go and play it. And we're gonna start by taking just an obliterate version out. We're gonna take it with an AR, although actually what I'm gonna do, even though I have this grade 27 FAMAS, we're gonna go with a grade 0, kind of to show, yeah, how this actually feels. Not everybody has access to a grade 25. Also, of course, the modifiers exist. Later on, we're gonna actually do an heroic countdown, and when we'll have them on for that. Kind of want to show how it plays with modifiers on as well. But in the general parts here, I'm going to keep it off just to also keep this universal, because of course this is just this season, and also this makes it way too easy. Honestly, the game is much easier with the modifiers on. So yeah, we're going to take this out. I'm going to use a pulse and a hive. We're just going to keep it to low directives, and we're going to go do a bounty and a control point and just roam the open world a little bit. Speaking of low directives, I'm gonna just take Fog of War special ammo. Yeah. Let's go up against. Do I have any heroic bounties somewhere? Yeah, let's do a bounty here. Because also, these are mostly off the street. I am of course kind of cheating. Well, cheating. I always hate that spot, but let's go anyway. Let me actually put that file in here.
Target near you.
Sure, was the last frame of that with this open still? Yeah. So I usually use that as just a fade over. I'll say 11k here, but that's that. From a countdown at the moment, this is worth targeting mask for Cody's here, also for a Cheska chest, here target chest or Cheska. So for the coyote, yeah, you would want to do masks because that's where the exotics are. The exotics are, they don't have a brand. So, but then for any time you need something of a specific brand, you're better off with the brand than the slot, because the slot has basically every brand. So while you would get a lot of chests, you wouldn't get as many Cheska chests. Whereas with Cheska, it's basically, you know, you have the 6 slots. Technically, although there's a little bit of weirdness there with some, especially for instance, 511 has 20 different backpacks, so you get many more backpacks than you get any other piece for 511, but that's not the case with Cheska. With Cheska, it's just 1 piece per thing. So basically, technically, 1 in 6 pieces would be a chest, where if you're with chest, like 1 in, how many brands are there? Like in gear sets, like 40? 1 in 40 would be a Cheska, like probability-wise. So if you're looking for a piece that has a brand, if you're looking for exotics, that's where those slots are for. So like chest slot, mask slot, and stuff. Those are for exotics. Same for weapon types. Those are just for exotics. No worries. It's an easy one to overlook, and it's even an easy one to get wrong. Plenty of people have, you know, have taken the wrong decision there. So always best to ask. Yeah, let's go do this bounty. And yeah, let's start with a bounty here. I've popped one in downtown East. We're gonna go up against hyenas. They are already going up against something else, it seems. The way to play red builds is very much an acquired taste. You can't. I mean, you can just run and gun. You will not fare well, or you will say farewell pretty quickly. The way generally is to think about positioning, think about where you put yourself together with where the enemies are. Try to keep up awareness, triage enemies. So for instance, here we have one that has special ammo. That makes him, to me, enemy number 1 to murder. Even though, of course, he goes into hiding. So here we did get actually aggroed while coming in, even though I have no idea how. We're hiding in a corner. I only have Fog of War and special ammo on. Special ammo against hyenas is Disorient, which is annoying but not deadly, the way that, for instance, flame rounds can be. Or even the Black Tusk's disruption rounds, because they can disable your revive hive from working for you. I do have actually a set of videos if you are interested in improving yourself, as that is what those were named. 3-parter of improving yourself. Especially the first one, I would really recommend giving a look, as it went over basically, yeah, the basics, which is there is positioning, there's awareness, there is triage, then there is actually build and game knowledge. And all of those things are quite important. So for instance as well here, knowing what the abilities of enemies are, what the weak points of enemies are. So for instance there I instantly went for the weak point on that rusher and disoriented other enemies as we pick up a full armor and kill. Those are actually as well kind of rare. They're not as rare as 13 BFEs, but they're definitely one of the rare ones. As we're gonna go kill Sketchy, Hill, and Ditch.
Medical assistance needed.
And for instance here, I'm helping my awareness quite a bit by using a pulse quite consistently. I'm gonna use my game knowledge there to go for that. Disabling several enemies for that fight, basically. There as well, it's kind of aiming on the hip, and that did work out for me. With hyenas, they have basically all of their weak points are generally on the hip. So, for instance, these RC car ladies, they have it's on their back. The grenade ladies, it's on their sides, basically. So, same for the rushers. So, kind of if you aim kind of at the hip, you'll pop a few in there. Let's go get upstairs. Although, we'll grab some of the ammo here. And generally as well, I'm going to position myself. So one of the things of positioning that is very important is how to use cover. So there is actually, you could go into cover, but you can also kind of like use cover. So for instance, if we have a pillar, let's say there was an enemy in the elevator, I generally don't actually attach myself to cover, even though I can't even there. let's say we're standing here, because when you pop out like this, you expose actually quite a lot of yourself. Instead of that, I just use the edge of it and basically just hide the room using a tall cover, a piece of tall cover. Not actually using the cover system, just using cover by itself. So here as well, I'm going to use this pillar up here as that point. We do have 3 names. That is actually kind of a dangerous moment. You may also notice that I'm not per se stacking with anything outside of just my main weapon. That guy is going immune, which is one of the most annoying things. Oh, actually, no, he failed to do so. I'm actually going to get out of there.
Serious trauma detected.
And actually, I'm going to go on this side. I'm going to pulse again. I'm going to flank him.
Get away! You bastard!
And now actually I'm going to medpack again. Kind of using a lot of resources here. But also again, I'm going to flank them again. One thing to keep in mind is that enemies actually try to keep a spatial map of where you are. What that means is that actually movement can be a really good tool.
Nice.
So if I pop up not where I was, it would like actually take them a second to kind of realize where I actually am. That turret was from the guy that I killed. So that will now start shooting its old enemies. I'm actually going to use a foam grenade here as well. Just to guarantee it, although actually we can't ADS now. I can't shoot low enough without ADSing. You want to get that weak point. Although actually, I'll just figure it out.
Nice.
So sometimes relocating is actually a really good tool to use. I'm actually going to pick up some of these virtuosos. I actually haven't proficiency'd virtuoso
Well done.
or the Legatus brand set yet. I've used other things to get to 27. So I'm donating some of those. But yeah, there we saw a pretty quick bounty. Let's go actually continue on. We'll go with some True Sons. Let's go murder a control point now. Which one do I go with? Let's go with that. It's an easy one. Oh yeah, I'll get you to here if I missed anything. And it RSF. And yeah, I'm doing good. Hope everybody's enjoying their Thursday. As a recording a build showcase, so parts of here I'll be kind of focused on the game. Yeah, let's do this one now. Let's put that. How long was that? Not too long, right? 5 minutes 43. It's actually pretty long for a bounty. We got sidetracked with a bunch of stuff, right? And let's head in now to. We're gonna do the crash site, the Air Force One crash site. We're still going to keep it on 2 directives. There isn't actually an extra patrol leaving here, which wouldn't be my preference to kind of deal with that as well. Although actually there's also a patrol coming back. There's 2 of them. I'm going to blow up. I'm going to start with that backpack. That might actually hit a bunch of other weak points there, which is my hope. And we're just going to start the murder. So here, actually, I'm in an exposed position. So when we were talking about earlier, positioning being important. I heard that guy coming. Quite often, it isn't actually great to be on a spot where you can shoot at everybody. Because if you can shoot at everybody, everybody gets to shoot at you. So for instance, a spot like that is very exposed. So what I generally do is actually fall back a little bit here and kind of make as many 1 versus 1s happen. So if I can fight an enemy 1 versus 1, I would prefer that a lot over having to fight multiple enemies. I'm gonna take this area. There's actually a lot of enemies, which is kind of dangerous because I might get flanked or such. But of course, I have the pulse. Even though, of course, I'm giving up. If I had, for instance, a blinder firefly or a demolisher firefly, I could launch that thing and just get a few random weak points here just destroy. That might even kill a few of the reds. So that would have value. But to me, having pulse, having the ability to see where kind of everything is well worth it. And here's what we're kind of outside of optimal range, but we can still make that work.
Immediate medical assistance
And
needed.
that was annoyingly my last medpack. See if anybody else dropped it. I didn't actually grab medpacks in between the last segment and this. We could have gone to a safe house, gotten some, and then come back. But we're gonna, of course, use our health gate basically as our safety net.
Vital signs critical.
And here again, we're gonna use our game knowledge, as well as that I know that the next wave will spawn when I kill this too. And yeah, we got a met back there. Kind of curious where this guy is going. Might actually just go murder him because he's kind of scary. He's like, doesn't make sense, so it's always extra dangerous. We are using the gunner here. So gunner can be actually a really good solo pick. I generally in groups do prefer to actually think about my what specializations we have, especially for instance having a demo in there can make the difference. Here I am going to actually use the minigun as I ran out of ammo on the main gun. Although I could just go and grab some ammo here, and I will. I'm gonna go through the inside. Actually, there's ammo box there. Which I ran past? No, sorry. And yeah, we're kind of making this messy, but that also sometimes happens. Because generally as well, I do not run strikers as my solo. If I'm running solo, I'm generally running a tech tank. As well, of course, yeah, those are linked in the recommended list if you're not aware of them in the build collection. And most of that is because you don't need to do all of this repositioning and such, or kind of like keep awareness. With a tech tank, I just roll into here and just try to murder as much as I can. And what you might have also noticed, I didn't actually call for backup here, and I did so on purpose. If you call for backup, or call for reinforcements right away, what you have as well is a chance at rogues. So sometimes you want that, especially for instance here, I could actually go for that where it is gear mods targeted, so loot is pretty good. But generally, I don't call in, and that's because you can in between you basically get a break. So you can go get those med packs, go get some ammo, go get all of that stuff, and then kind of make sure that no like resource convoy is coming in, and then continue the fight. So here we're gonna actually continue that fight. The downside of that, of course, is that as we were talking about losing stacks, I've basically lost all my stacks again. So we're starting anew with stacking. But the thing with Striker, of course, is it stacks up. The more elites and harder to kill enemies you have kind of in front of you, the better you'll stack. So it's kind of when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, that kind of saying. That kind of happens here. So if you have just a bunch of reds, let's say maybe you're on easy or something, or such, you know, or in the past with leagues, yeah, it was actually kind of hard to stack. But then also you're killing everything, so it wasn't needed to stack. That is kind of inherently one of the strengths of Striker, is that as stuff gets harder, it kind of keeps up, of course, to a point, like it doesn't infinitely stack. But here, yeah, we're now kind of fully stacked. Obliterate is fully on. The Striker is at 100 stacks. And also of note, so here I'm taking shots at pretty, you know, actually outside of optimal. I should close the distance, but I just don't want to. We'll just murder them from the high ground here. The weapon handling that we get from Strikers is also very worth it. So that we can just still keep it on target. Because even though, of course, yeah, it's stability as well, but it's also accuracy. And especially at like these kind of ranges, having a little bit less that the bullets basically go where I aim them, having a little less spread off of that center point is very, very handy. So yeah, we kind of saw here an Obliterate Striker kind of just doing stuff. Let's go take this actually maybe into a mission, and we'll kind of maybe swap over to an SMG Striker and show it more in a group setting. Yeah, let's go clean this one up. Oh, nice. I mean, chilled Thursday. I had a productive day today myself with upgrading all the striker builds in the build collection, and now as well I'm gonna do a build showcase, which we haven't done in forever, so that's kind of nice. And yeah, actually, so I don't know if anybody's out there that's maybe interested in joining, although in a second, because I'm gonna swap characters. But because normally I wouldn't match make. The annoyance there is though that I kind of want to do it without the modifier on, and matchmaking will likely not get me there. So I don't know if anybody out there is interested in joining. Otherwise, I will matchmake and just we'll try a few until we get one without. Let's go with that.
Safe area entered.
Modifiers off. Shall I take this intro here? Okay, yeah, that'll be great to listen a few. Let me record this intro, and then yeah, feel free to join afterwards. Or I'll just this little thingy. Yeah. Starting to find a button there. And we're gonna go do that with the SMG version. So basically, yeah, I'm taking a group of chests on this. We're swapped here with the tactical vector width measured. Again, keeping it ungraded here, just to kind of keep the power levels down a little bit, because we can gain a considerable amount now from expertise 27. Oh, actually, yeah, that might be interesting info here. So with 157, oh no, 257, 230. So that's 11.7%. Because actually I didn't know that off the top of my head. Yeah, let's try it again. And here we are with this SMG version. Not much change. We're still going to keep it obliterate for this one. But of course, yeah, we're now going with a group of chest. We're going to swap in an SMG. Of note is that actually with the SMG, we can do two things. So we could either keep it, for instance, if I was solo, I would actually keep it like this with 3 crit chance mods. We're landing on 58, 166. 58 would be a decent setup for close range. And generally, of course, if I'm running this SMG, especially that has kind of 15 meter optimal range, not a bad choice. But now, of course, what we have is that we can swap here mods from crit chance to crit damage. Of note is that, yeah, on the underbarrel, we can't generally, unless there's a long underbarrel rail, you do not get to have the crit damage mod there. So here we could flip 2 crit chances to crit damage, but actually I'm just going to do 1. That's going to put us at 53. But actually, of note as well, I'm running demo, and an often forgotten thing about demo is you get this better laser pointer. So we're going to take that instead. So two more. So we're kind of landing 55, which is, if I were to be solo, this would kind of work both for short range and mid range, kind of for both of them. But actually, I'm going to be in a group in a second. So actually, yeah, I'm going to drop this to be crit damage as well. And we are exactly 50-186. Playing around with these mods is actually quite valuable because as well, we could, for instance, go with a Cheska piece, and with other weapons, we could actually drop even more. So if we had a long underrail or the underbarrel, especially with some LMGs and stuff, it can actually be worthwhile. But for instance here, yeah, we're taking 2 crit damage mods, which we wouldn't ever do in the past. But we're doing so, and we're landing on a very beautiful 50, which, if I'm going to be in a team, there's likely going to be more coyotes, and they might have the mid-range buff up. Even if I am close range, I can benefit in both ways. Also, I'll be generally trying to go for short range, so I'll be trying to trigger that short range much more. Yeah, let's take this into some missions. We're not going to matchmake because of the global modifier. It is still applying. If one person has it, then everybody has it. The global modifier makes things a little bit too easy, which we'll also kind of see in the last segment where we'll go into some heroic countdown. But yeah, we're going to make actually a pre-made and go in like that. So yeah, let's get going. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody is interested, yeah, Tony7 already said they were. Feel free to just join up on me whenever you are ready.
You have been promoted to
But yeah, if
group
there's
leader.
any others, I wouldn't mind if
Another agent has
there's
joined your group.
anybody else interested in. Also, we should actually, I haven't actually decided which mission. Which mission should we take? Kind of feeling DUA. It's not a good target, but would be maybe one where I can kind of showcase the short range stuff here. Kind of. Selfishly. Anyways, yeah, if you already had me on this account, right? Yeah, feel free to. Yeah. Because yeah, we kind of need to. Normally, I would generally matchmake for this, and also specifically to kind of
Another agent
make
is
it
now in
random,
your
you know,
group.
not to make it too too easy. But yeah, we can't. No. Let's actually go with the 3 of us. And yeah, if anybody else is interested as well, let me know, and we can get you in, or yeah, you can feel free to just join. And yeah, let's go do DOA. I feel DOA would be a mission as well that kind of like. Although actually, it's pretty short range. We're kind of cherry picking there almost. But nah, let's just do DOA. It'll also be a stronghold. Actually, this character for the weekly needs a stronghold. So kind of doing it for that as well. And then yeah, we also, so if you guys are okay with it, we'll take Fog of War special ammo, even though this Orient rounds. And then yeah, let's maybe take cool skills as well, just to actually keep it a little interesting. We just won't have no regen, no regen, and no regen and no pistol arrow. Actually, yeah, let me do an intro here, and then we'll get going. Although if anybody else is interested in joining us, let us know, and might still get you in. Legendary, I'm like doing legendary and talking is like hell. Like, although well, like talking at least at the level of a build showcase. So we're gonna keep it just to heroic. Yeah. Make sure that is everyone ready. Yeah, I'm gonna do an intro here, and then we'll just run in. If you guys are be sure to be ready, basically, to run in. Yeah. And yeah, we're gonna go do a D-Way just on heroic. We're gonna, of course, rub ourselves all over the shaky tree, if you don't know this one. This tree, if you touch it, it gets really scared. But yeah, let's get going. We're gonna take 3 directives. We are actually gonna take cool skills, and one thing I'm actually gonna do, even with cool skills, I'm gonna take a pulse still. I'm gonna replace my hive because it's otherwise a really long cooldown. So I rather not have that very long cooldown. So I'm gonna take a pulse and a foam. And yeah, if everybody's ready, let's get her going.
This is a chance to wipe out the hyena leadership in one decisive
Because I'm
blow.
actually going to use my
Get in there
pulse,
and
and even
hunt
though
them
I'm a very
down.
short
Every
range
last
build,
one
I'm
of
just going to try to use my game knowledge, try to use positioning to not die. These guys, of course, do have themselves the special rounds of theirs is disorient.
Needs assistance.
Can't get back to them there. I'm just gonna focus on killing this wave. That's gonna be more valuable actually.
Immediate
Anything
medical
else I could do?
assistance needed.
We are kind of easy to kill. But we can also kill very easily. Yeah. Here for instance as well, I'm going to use that barrel to kind of blow these guys up. I'm going to stick into that left wall just so I can peek behind it. And yeah, as you may see, playing pretty aggressively. And it is there actually that, yeah. Someone is running the...
Serious trauma
there the
detected.
disorient did get me actually.
Agent
I'm
incapacitated.
gonna crawl back. But yeah, being aggressive sometimes comes at a cost. But overall that cost is well worth paying. Because overall you'll still go faster. Being aggressive. We'll also, as always, show all the loot locations here, of course. This one quite often gets forgotten. And one nice thing as well is if one person gets it, you can all get it through the side there. I have some loot back there, actually. Let's not forget. No loot left behind. Although if it's True Patriot, it might get left behind. True Patriot definitely could use a buff. And even without a hive, although, yeah, so for instance there, the thing that kind of got me was the disorient really messed me up a little. This guy will not kill me as long as he has no bullets, so we can keep chaining him over and over again. I'm gonna take the left side here. Gonna get this loot. Gonna wait till everybody's here because the trigger point is there. It is very handy to, over time, kind of pay attention when wave spawns. So waves generally have a point. When you go beyond that point, that's when they spawn. Also as well, at these kind of ranges, blind firing is actually a very appropriate thing to do. And this tech factor, so one of the downsides of measured is there is that point where the rate of fire kind of changes, and that also changes quite a bit of the recoil pattern of the weapon. So quite often that can be an issue. Here it is actually changing so fast, and also the RPM is already so high that it's somewhat less noticeable. And because of that, actually, it's less of an issue on... I feel the higher the RPM goes, the less of an issue it becomes. I feel it's much more of an annoyance when you're on, let's say, an LMG at 600. Than here. Although actually with an LMG, yeah, it kind of gets offset as well with the class's ability of being much more accurate as you keep firing. So yeah, measure does take some getting used to, but overall, I would say it is worth it now. Of course, before the season, yeah. Measured, I feel a few people are saying Measured was always good, and Measured was pretty bad
Local
in the
power
past.
offline.
But now, yeah, with the buffs to it, like, I have no loyalties to different talents or such. Like, I know a few people kind of still like, dude, I'm not gonna run Measured because it was always bad. It's just like, what does that even mean? Just, if it's worth running, it's worth running. Oh, yeah, the sledge there, even with this orient there, kind of making it hard to get on target. Supercharges. We got the loot out here as well, of course. And the strength of Striker is always this. It is just the classic, just do damage build. Although, of course, it needs, because there are several builds that are kind of like that. Heartbreaker also, for instance, comes to mind. Or just having a high-end red. The thing is, though, that, for instance, yeah, a high-end red just lacks the damage nowadays. Damage, just the output, the final output, kind of matters. If a build is weak, you're just going to take longer to do certain things. You also, the faster you can kill, overall as well, the easier things will become, because if you can get the enemy numbers down as fast as possible, the better off you will be. I'm going to get a little bit closer just to be in actual optimal. Because if you can kill fast enough, that solves a lot of issues. A lot of issues that people will have is they will put way too much towards survivability and not enough towards actually killing. You don't need that much survivability if you're killing fast enough that not much is hitting you. For instance, here as well, like, not much is actually getting the chance to actually hit us. I'm gonna go to the side here. So what I'm going to do here as well, everybody coming around this corner is kind of going to be turned towards me, helping for my allies to kind of murder them. Sometimes you have to kind of consider positioning also basically team-wise. Here as well, I'm going to go around the left side real quick and try to murder from that side and kind of be a second angle. Of course, here with the SMG, we also want to use the benefits of an SMG. So SMG does have more damage, as we kind of saw from the first DPS calculations. But it has a less effective range, of course. We're kind of also set up to generally need a mid-range, and then if we can get the short range on top of the Coyote, that's the best output here. But then, of course, we need to be a little bit closer. So we need to play the strengths, and that's what I'm generally trying to do as well. Try to not be outside of optimal range too often, although the optimal range here is 15, so we're going to be outside of that a little bit here and there. But for instance as well, in a bigger room like this, that will become an issue around the boss room coming up. And that's also why, on the recommended, I used to have the Oreo basically as the #1 recommended. The Oreo having lost a lot of its power, I'm not going to put an SMG there anymore. The top recommended now, the #1 slot there, is now an AR version, and that is generally what I would run with Strikers. Is while the SMG versions can be quite impactful and kind of fun, I kind of like the running gunniness of them. And they are definitely no slouches when it comes to damage. An AR1 as a general, just because, for instance here, the enemies are spawning down there. I don't really have an option outside of being outside of optimal range or spending sometimes closing the range. So with an AR, I could still be mostly effective. So we have the key chest in the back, of course, to make our way through. And even though I'm playing aggressive, I'm still trying to keep awareness of where enemies are and such. The pulse is helping with that as well, marking enemies to know where they are. We've gone down once, and that was just due to a disorient, basically at the wrong moment, and not positioning myself where I could get into cover. So things like that you should also consider. Like if there is disorient rounds, I want to be generally close enough to cover that I can kind of get into cover, because that's going to be the easiest thing for me to do to prevent being downed when a disorient bullet hits me. So yeah, we're gonna do always the oldest joke here. Are these onions? Are you sure? They were potatoes all along. Don't ask me how that got started, but I got started at some point. Yeah, actually I'm gonna grab it. So yeah, here we have the Diesel boss fight. He's of course not going to die. Not a chance. What we're gonna do here is I'm actually gonna be pretty aggressive. I'm gonna go up the side. So he has 3 barrels around the car, and those 3 barrels, if we blow them up, will do heavy damage to the car. But also, actually, we're not going to blow up the car yet. Although, actually, I'm going to get
Agent
down
down.
here. I forgot that position actually does. The car can shoot it there. I'm just going to fall back. Not the best look for me, of course, but we'll keep it in. And yeah, let's see actually if I can kill fast enough here
Assistance needed.
to not get down. No,
Agent vital
just
signs
barely not.
0.
But my team has this, I'm pretty certain.
Bring the fucker down!
I'm not sure you can get me there without killing everything.
Agent down.
Yeah, just watch out for the heavy. You can be chained and just made a non-factor. Gotta help out here right away. Because if we can just chain him.
What's going on down there?
That will.
Diesel, are you dead too, you inbred son of a bitch? Everybody
Hey, not the best look for me.
now.
So we couldn't outkill there. So we extended too far. And sometimes you have to analyze like that. So one of the core things as well with the improving yourself thing is analyze when things go wrong, what went wrong. So there, I may have been a little bit too aggressive. Also, I wasn't paying attention to actually the car and the waving when the wave was going to spawn. Here actually I'm going to use auto run, and one thing you can use here is auto run to run straight.
Failing.
So with auto run, you don't actually get... You get disoriented, but you don't get
Air
knocked around.
quality. Acceptable.
I'm going to actually blow up all of these before I move in. Alright, just watch out here as I spawn behind us as well in a second. Use the disorient there. I'm going to kill the guy inside of that door because that door has a tendency to close quite often.
Listen up. We got devils in our house and they mean to kill us all. Stand and fight. You hear me? Stand and fight.
And that's... Here, of course, we have a tradition. We just
Filters failing.
bring darkness to the light. And yeah, let's go do the boss fight. Ran this ad. Because here I'm still gonna keep being aggressive. It's too easy if you get down and stuff to kind of feel bad about it and go like, I should maybe play a lot more safe. The downside of that is that slows things down quite a bit. Here though, I'm gonna be a little bit smarter about it. I'm gonna take this high ground to fight these. This way I always as well. You can make it a 1 versus 1 against most enemies. That guy's kind of outside of my optimal, but that's fine. Those have been gotten. Oh, we're gonna start working on these guys. No, we'll have that bus in a second. Kind of missed where actually that rusher went. Just gonna use that to either. Just trying to make a move, but he does not. So there we go.
Taking out the hyena leadership leaves the faction in disarray. I'll send teams to start securing the
Yes.
supplies and the
Clean
equipment.
up the thing here. We want to see our completion time there, although
The theater settlement will be able to rest a
me
little
being down
easier
for a
now.
minute there, that likely hurt it a little bit. Although yeah, still a sub 15, and yeah, we didn't take it on damage because as well, this is not per se the place for the longest range here, but we definitely made our impact here. Yeah, let's take this out to the chest striker in a heroic countdown setting where we'll also introduce modifiers just because we'll have no choice but to have them on. So we'll kind of discuss as well how we can kind of work around modifiers with this. Yeah, there we go. Let me actually get these two. So it's this and then this. Yeah. Oh, peep. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are up for a heroic countdown as well, although I'll just matchmake. Although let's take this back to base because I need to swap builds for that anyway, so or swap characters, swap the builds. So let me catch up here for a second. Listen, we're in there for a bit, and I flooded, and thanks Swami for subscribing there, much appreciated. I'm glad you like my silliness enough to waste some money on me. Something with the tree, yeah. I know there, Rogers, although a bit late, but yeah, we're recording some stuff for a video, so oh dear, yeah. That's how I ever seen it. Anything? What do you have? Because costas are pretty common with those, of course. Yeah, let's actually just clean this character up. Now I'm gonna swap to a different character. If you guys are willing to join for a heroic countdown, just feel free to join on me in a second again. Just gonna load this build back. So it's gonna set up. Yeah, okay. Jerusalem, it is. No, so it's activities. It's not 10 countdowns, it's 10 activities. So basically, every countdown, when you do like the 2 and then the main, that's 3 per countdown. And the extraction is not like part of that. Yeah, if you guys want to join back up on me, I'm just going to do a intro on the build. Also, actually, I'm going to use grade 27. Also, yeah, feel free to, if you, because I'm going to have modifiers on. If you want to have modifiers on too, feel free to have that. Although, well, basically they'll be on for everybody, so. Yeah, this is set up correctly right here. Okay. Then I'll first do an intro on this thing and then we'll match, right? And here we're back with the striker, chest striker this time. So yeah, we're going to go for the 200 stacks. For that, I'm still giving the FAMAS here. We're going to go with a grade 27 here as well, just to go all out. We're going to have modifiers on. And the reason is because currently, yeah, if one person has it on in a team, everybody has it on in a team. With an 8-man random match made countdown, that's a very high likelihood. So yeah, I'm going to turn mine on, and we're actually going to use them. And also I want to kind of highlight that here. So yeah, I have all out as my active. I have liability, I have retribution, and I have bite the teeth. These three are the go-to basically for more damage. Retribution actually would allow me to even drop more crit chance, because this kind of works as a little bit of a coyote. Liability is just more damage to enemies in short range, and bite the teeth is a lot of damage in long range. We're actually going to use this bite the teeth as well, but towards the end there. But for instance, because of that retribution, this crit chance that I have here, I'm actually going to flip this over to a crit damage. And as long as we get a few shots in mid-range, which that's going to happen, we're going to be on this 45. Even if there's no mid-range coyote active, overall, I'll have more than enough crit chance to kind of offset that. So yeah, let's go matchmake for a heroic countdown. I'm going to take the party we took into the mission as well into there. So we'll be, at least 3 competent people. So hopefully we'll find a few more. And yeah, once we're kind of in there, we'll continue on here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me put that in the folder. And we'll go with matchmaking for a heroic campaign. Oh, where am I going? See if this puts us in somebody else's team or if it puts us just as the leaders.
Invite to another agent's group. Receive.
If I pass it
joined
mods,
a group.
Yeah, getting those
have left the
passives
group.
is not the worst. Let's see what this team. So actually, let's be around here as well, just to kind of know. Where's the second I escape at it? Still knowing that sometimes takes forever. I'm going. It's pretty good. And that striker. And just pure randomness. Is our leader AFK? Also, actually, let's make this measured. I know, kind of when we're loading in, I know that last guy is going to be just dead weight, but we have three good damage dealers on the team. So. I'm not gonna wait for this.
Kitchen relay offline.
And yeah, we're heading into a heroic countdown. We matchmade in with a 3-man team, so we're already kind of... That's generally what I do prefer for heroic countdowns, is to have a few competent people alongside of me. Heroic countdown does require you to have some damage, although actually now with the modifiers, you need less people, especially if they're comfortable with the modifiers. We're starting north. We should head left. Let's actually drag everybody with us. We're going to go left. We're going to link up both teams as quickly as we can. That is generally the best strategy here. That does mean, yeah, that we're going to go this way. We're going to kill this hunter, they're going to kill that hunter, and then we're going to link up together. I'm going to pulse here. I'm going to wait till everybody's here. I am actually going to ACS stack a little bit, because again, we're on a chest striker now.
Vital signs critical.
This guy really wants me.
Agent
Will get me back up. I did change my talent on the weapon. Actually, in the free part here, it was actually fast hands. I've changed that to be measured now. I'm gonna actually go get this loot as well. Hopefully my team does that. Because I'm not sure if we're gonna be coming back that way. So generally we go and grab that real quick.
An agent needs assistance.
And yeah, the heroic hunters do take a lot of damage. Most of my shots there actually went into the car there. We do have actually a damage buff, which is the headshot one. We don't have the close range or the long range ones, which add a lot of damage. Especially the close range buff is, of course, very famous for adding a ton of damage. And a pulse there, kind of hope that the entire team kind of notices that there is still a hunter there. This way as well, the whole team will actually get all of the points, so we'll get everybody 208s. Whereas if we were to go from this side, even though this takes a little bit longer, this will get us everybody to... I'm just going to blind fire my ACS and until it's empty. So generally what I do as well is I have a rock and roll, and then I just unload it. So yeah, let's go admin right away as well, of course. So admin, and then what is the main?
System restored.
So it doesn't really matter where we go. Then catch which one was
You're
which.
closing in on the target.
Let's see a warhound there. That would be the faster one. We'll just lemming as the team. Anyways, I'm still running pulse. Turns out that actually, yeah, for this hill showcase, ended up running on pulse. It is my preferred skill, definitely, especially in a group setting. Here as well, we don't have like full skills to kind of prevent us from using it. But you should definitely kind of play around with what that second skill can be. The Revive Hive, yeah, it's well worth keeping. But definitely think a little bit about what skills you're kind of pairing them with. And yeah, set to targeted ARs.
Target detected.
Could use a second Strega. One thing we could go here with as well is, of course, yeah, the Bighorn, the Strega. Although Strega, for instance, here, you're competing for kills. So anything that is on kill, the second you kind of have more people vying for the kills, the less good it becomes. But for instance, something, yeah, like Measure doesn't really care about what other people are. You know, so take the box here. So yeah, somebody opened this box already. So we do want to get those. Those have SSG calibrations, an optimization resource that is well worth getting as many of as you can. Gonna hang on to that AUG. So actually, likely turbine is the best way. Hoping actually most of the team kind of lemmings with us. Though, are they? The turbine would be closer run here, just as close a run here, and then it will be next to containment right away. Although cooling is also next to containment right away. Kind of keeping an eye out on that. Let's kind of see what is happening here. Looks like they're going to run. We'll do my favorite thing in Countdown, which is to slide. Although of course you can do this anywhere. Oh, got denied. You can't slide on that one. Did they do actually? No.
10 minutes to lockdown. Evacuate the facility.
Sucks for us. We'll have to go that way. It's better to make the yeah. I should have actually written it out, but what's kind of seemed obvious was not obvious to everybody apparently. Because also Warhounds in cooling is, well, Warhounds is pretty fast. It's not the fastest. And but what I should have done, of course, is the tip that I also kind of gave in the Countdown guide, just type it out. Just type out, let's go here. And generally people listen, or even maybe they won't. We have somebody running rifles, which is currently where we kind of avoid them. Is this? They still make sounds as if they're coming from me. Let's actually instantly go for the crates. Might have actually been opened already. With us being out of range of that, actually, no, it turns out it's not. So yeah, one thing with the chest striker, I do want to, even though this is the last guy, and actually it's not going to per se worth it, but yeah, we kind of need stacking.
Agent, you should be able
As we
to
talked
access the
about,
waste
if we're
area.
not above 140 stacks, we're kind of doing it wrong. And we're kind of doing it wrong at the moment. But that's of course as well. You're kind of competing with 8 people, and actually most of the team seems decent on damage. So they are actually, I don't need more carbide 7, Sally. I should have maybe shared that one, man. Also, that was still kind of expensive. Basically as well, with Chest Striker, the worse your team is, the better you'll do. Just because you get to stack more. But here on this last one, I'm definitely going to try to stack up well and then be above, and then kind of keep the stacks going, because generally as well, once you're kind of stacked up, at least in that zone, because yeah, here with the running in
Agent,
between,
you've
you're
reached the
kind of
waste area. I need
you're
you to
kind of
secure the
losing, of
radioactive
course,
material to
the amount
override
of
the
stacks
lockdown
that you're kind
protocols.
of gonna have. Because yeah, we're down to 0 stacks again, even though we weren't that high.
We need to secure that tank and get it back into the sarcophagus.
And one thing is that countdown, for instance, heroic countdown, or most legendaries, there is actually enough enemies for it to work out to, or well, enemies, and also their scaling is high enough that they don't die instantly, so you can actually stack a little bit on them. So here, for instance, actually we're reaching the 150 stack mark, so from this point on, we're kind of above Obliterate Striker. Now, of course, the thing is, you have to kind of include, and that's why also
That should be
the
source of
general
leak.
meta
Now we just need to seal those tanks.
is seen as being Obliterate still to this day, even with the reductions. Is that outside of, for instance, here, there is actually, it's kind of hard to get.
Incoming. High risk hostile.
Up to 200 stacks and kind of keep 200 stacks and going. Kind of likely gonna have to use my hive here. Because even there, we just barely kept it up. 150 the whole time. I'm actually, yeah, gonna blind fire here a lot. Partially because, yeah, we're close enough that that can be done. Secondly, if I stand up here, I'm kind of blocking everybody behind me from shooting. So sometimes it's well worth. It's actually well worth. I'm gonna shoot at my friend there. You can't shoot at other people when they're phoned. Let's try to get some headshots in. For that we will actually. It was nice of them to all spawn there for multiple waves. Because we had a pretty long fight. But for situations like that, yeah, the chest striker kind of is unbeatable. But I would say actually even for a lot of the, several of the legendaries, where generally we would say you can go with the chest striker.
Seal that bunker and stop exposing your team to not so low doses.
Maybe not so much. Because, for instance, yeah, recently I got convinced, for instance, by Toasty to, yeah, more, for instance, in Roosevelt, to, yeah. That turns out that it is actually not worth, per se, going with the chest striker specifically there, because, yeah, the ranges are a little bit longer, the enemies are separated out quite a bit with spawning, so.
Torres is waiting for your signal.
Although here as
Shoot off
well,
the flare when
so
you're ready to
we
come
have the
home.
modifier on. The modifier is adding a ton of damage.
Target approaching.
It's at least a 1.2 modifier or multiplier, basically. It's a 1.5 at longer range, and also we have things like by the teeth, and also liability in short range and kind of by the teeth in long range. So here actually I'm gonna try and kind of set up to be pretty long range against the hunters towards the end. We're gonna have the western extraction. So the two insertions sites. So we were north and east. That's where the two teams inserted. The other one, whichever one wasn't used, that's going to be extraction. So we could already from the start know that the extraction is going to be west. Anyway, we're going to make our way over there. The best thing to do is kind of stack up the team, kind of bunch up. I'm not expecting that in randoms though, so normally if we were in coordinated team, we would just all wait here for everybody to be here. So here, with By the Teeth, even though I'm not stacked, I'm hitting for 1.8s. This is the thing that a lot of people go like, modifiers are bad for in countdown or something. No, if you do it right, it is actually the easy mode. Like, those were 2.1 millions because of By the Teeth. As long as I'm hitting body shots, so By the Teeth, the second you hit a headshot, you lose your stack. It stacks up to 5 times. It's a 2.5. It's basically a 250% amp. So it's more than right. So here I'm just going to keep long range and try to do body shots. And as long as I do that, I'll actually have issues stacking. So here as well, actually, I should be an obliterate version because I'm not going to get too many stacks because things are just going to die too fast. We're hitting for 1.9s outside of optimal as well. So with this weapon as well, we're kind of not in that optimal well. But just by one modifier plus the core modifier,
Kilo is ready when you are. Shoot a
like,
flare
we're
to
just
signal for
melting
it.
through this. I'm actually going to go up here. The hardest part is, of course, just landing body shots at this kind of range. Although that's kind of helped by the outlines as well on the enemies. So yeah, the chopper's coming down. I'm going to kind of focus this. I feel nobody's kind of in that way. And I'm still around 100 stacks, so I'm still not doing well. But yeah, that guy's kind of hard to hit without actually hitting his head, which resets my stacks. And he doesn't like me anymore.
Serious trauma detected.
It'd be nice if one person kind of pushed in there and kind of got him out of
Agent
cover.
down. Neutralize that hunter.
Tiny got doubled down there. That kind of always sucks. I'm gonna focus this because yeah, the team is still kind of over there. And if you go down, you get dead. Oh, where is what? What is even happening there? That hunter just fall away, just like to. Okay, 8, 7. I'm gonna do it on 5 here.
We see you. Hilo inbound on your location.
And yeah, for instance, a foam there could have prevented all that. A single foam could have prevented the whole team needing to push that far into the distance. I'm gonna go see if we do want the dog tags. I'm hoping the team kind of now carries that, but yeah.
Let's get you home.
We'll have enough time to get back. Likely even help with this last wave. So again, as well, with this last wave, so generally, you wouldn't want to set up in too long of a range, but here actually, in long range, I'm doing a ton more damage than I ever would in short range. Oh yeah, these guys are just at the edge of it. I'm just gonna go grab my loot and get out of here. And yeah, even with what definitely didn't feel like a strong team, just with a lot of modifiers, that helps out a lot there. Oh yeah, we did get the 208, so that is the benefit of doing heroics. You do get, if you get all of the hunters, you get and 2 mains, or 2 minors and then the main, because you could actually get 210 if you also did that. Third objective, but don't. 2 more is not worth it. But yeah, you get 50 more basically. Than from a normal mission. So yeah, let's take this to the conclusion where we'll kind of wrap everything up and sign this out. There you go. Yeah, let me Let's see how long that one was. 16. So everything together is 126. So yeah, it's gonna be around the 1.5 hour mark. Just kind of expected for this one. This one's also kind of bigger, right?
Come check this out. Good to see you.
Might keep this AUG.
Thanks for the deal.
I got an armor and kill max set and then actually, let's put one of these in the session and incoming repair max set. Couldn't give me a PFE, could you? It's actually that's in the stash. We'll move this to a different character because this one's way too full. Although actually it's this, right? Yeah. Oh, way too many good chance stuff there. Actually, let's put this for now. Wait, let me catch up here. Oh, and thanks, Tonyson and Tiny. And also, yeah, sorry, couldn't save you there with the double down. But yeah, hopefully you got still most of the loot. Hopefully. Yeah, let me catch up here. What about OD now? OD just got vigilance back. Coyote? Yeah. That one's gonna get upgraded pretty soon. It's still the old version in there, but yeah. You take the chest. So for normal red OD, you take the chest and you take Coyote instead. Although as well the holster, while it is kind of broken at the moment, the reload is way too good. You can use that and just have that help out with your main weapon. No, for doing nah, generally on heroic they don't get away with that. Let's do. I mean, yeah, they're eventually gonna hopefully fix those rifles. Yeah, let's take this back to. Yeah, let's run to the secret room. And actually, so let's do normal and then just no directives. So we did the intro here, we're gonna do the outro here as well.
The ramp to the parking garage looks like your best way in.
Gonna hunt you down.
I have modifier on again. Well, actually for this doesn't matter. We're normal anyway. I'll actually reflect. It would then actually still be dangerous even on normal. At least on a heavy or something.
True Sun's munitions detected.
No. Oh no. I've done that plenty of times. Myself.
I'm with you.
Although yeah, we kind of got left behind with most of the team kind of like pushing up.
It seems like these guys are
Got
salvaging
cut
and
out.
repurposing anything they can from this place. They're crafty bastards. I'll give them
100 kept everybody busy. Urban MDR, yeah. Overall though, yeah, so I've been really liking the SIGs, the LVOEC, and also actually the UIC. Honestly,
Tag
the
anything
UIC
useful
is
and
not
I'll
too
send in a
terrible.
recovery team later.
Now blow the shit out of anything too dangerous.
Even if you do give up a ton of damage for it, it is the most handleable of them all.
minutes incoming.
Keep moving. Need to clear the next
Yeah,
hall.
let's go do an outro and then we'll kind of round out the build showcase.
When you're done fucking things up there,
Keep moving. You still got 2 halls to clear.
Hostile radio intercepted.
Got it right here.
Division's on my 6! So cut through the planetarium. We gotta secure that ordnance.
But we are only now beginning to uncover the secrets. Earth, third rock from the sun. Our home may not be the center of our universe, but so far it is the only planet that has life as we know it. The vast reaches of space. It's irrational to think that our little planet.
Sometimes it would be
is the
handy to,
only
like
place
some other games, especially like solo games and stuff, you have like
we know that Mars was ocean.
like game mod menus and stuff where you can just move the character around to a certain spot or such. Here, of course, we don't have that.
While no other planet in our solar system sustains life, it's possible that the building blocks that allowed organisms to evolve.
Trees, good struggles, and 0 coyote masks. Oh, yeah, coyote can be sometimes, or well, getting a certain exotic can sometimes take a while. Like exotics are not that common, except sometimes they are, of course. Oh, also I never realized I actually need a bio.
Once
Sick.
home to flowing water, as evidenced by these images. At one point, more than 3.8 billion years ago, to 1/3 of the Martian surface covered by oceans. Martian exploratory craft have sent back evidence of
Because we're gonna use this room. Because also, yeah, I'm gonna have the pop-up of the secret room up.
Mechanical components.
See who catches it in
Advise I scan the parts.
the video. Should get this one. Come back for the balloon in a second, actually. He's surviving.
Vital signs critical.
Yeah, let me actually take a quick bio break and then we'll blow up the balloon and then I'm gonna do the outro part. Yeah, I'll be right back. Where's the BRB? There. go. Feels a lot better. Definitely. Do the I need to pee dance anymore. There we go. Rifle miner. Like that weakness. I mean, yeah, that was like, well, kind of, but yeah, no, at least that they're auto. You know, that could come in the future. Because yeah, they're definitely not fully competitive against everything else. Is there a place near here which is kind of good looking? We don't hate this. It's actually, wait, let's actually do the last wave here.
I'm setting a recovery team. Link up with them and you'll be done
So we
there.
have that out of the way as well.
Components identified. Suggested use. Missile construction.
They must be using a casing from the museum's collection. If they can rig it with a warhead and some means of propulsion, they wouldn't even need a guidance system to hit the
I'm
White
pretty
House
sure
or
Manny has
settlement.
like a
Kinda goes without
remembrance
saying,
thing.
but if you see any missiles lying around, make sure they can never, ever be used.
This kind of has a background, kind of works. Yeah. Let me catch up actually to some of the chat here before we go in. With your Heartbreaker setups? No, so yeah, I just have the tech tank basically. Heartbreaker, and yeah, no, that stays the same basically. The Chuska just loses 2, but Heartbreaker just is a little bit more powerful. Like it does more damage, basically, like 5% more actually. All right, with 1 to 1.1, because it's not 10% more damage because it's 10% additive basically to a system. So going from what is in effect a 2-point multiplier, because you have always the initial 100% in there. So going from 200 to 210 basically, or well, 2 to 2.1, that's gonna be 5% more. Still a decent bit more. Now the one thing that will change actually on the Heartbreaker Tech Tank is I'm gonna keep using the Kingbreaker, but an M4 and a Fall are both also good flat line choices. They kind of outburst the Kingbreaker by a little bit, but they lose on sustain quite a bit. So yeah, let's do the outro here. So yeah, kind of. Let's go with the Obliterate Striker. That's kind of the. Yeah, let's go with an outro. And yeah, to conclude this video, Strikers is basically still the Red King. It is the king of the Reds. Especially the Obliterate variant is just generally usable. You don't have to do anything weird and wacky with it to get the output out of it. Although, as well, as we talked about a little bit, which will be a subject of a future video, we're gonna go actually compare an Obliterate Striker, for instance, against a Heartbreaker. The Heartbreaker nowadays will actually compete decently, although actually the talents being better now, for instance, measured being a little bit better nowadays, actually kind of keeps them in line with each other. The thing is, though, that Heartbreaker stacks much worse. Striker's benefits is that, yeah, it's just easy to use. You just shoot things, and that makes you shoot things harder. So you don't have to go into cover or out Umbra style or mark multiple enemies ninja or negotiator style. So yeah, it is overall still one of the best picks and the core of any. Basically, every character of mine still will have a striker build. I will actually take in a few more of, although I always had an Umbra build. I don't have a red Heartbreaker anymore, but we're gonna make one again. As additions to this, but at the core, this, yeah, definitely is the go-to. Because even though we didn't, for instance, discuss it here, incursion version strikers, for instance, in chest strikers for incursion, nothing is really going to compete against them there. They're going to be the king still there. And especially, yeah, if in places where chest striker still can maintain generally over 150 stacks, 143 as you calculate it. Let's put it just as around 150. As long as you're above a 150 stacks and can maintain that, and especially if you can like stack on an immune enemy before it, like incursion, Just Striker is going to be peerless, basically, outside of some headhunting setups or one-tap setups. But those are, of course, setups. This can kind of consistently do it. This can, once it is at high stacks, it just starts pumping out the damage that way. That has always been the strength of Striker. And yeah, I would definitely still say that the Obliterate Striker is the general meta. You can play around with that chest talent now more. In the past, I would just say Obliterate over everything. A Spotter or a Glass, I could see it. I will actually play around a little bit with Glass as well. While Glass seems just 5% more once it's stacked, Glass is from the first shot, and especially if you're killing fast, it can be quite a choice to make. Even though, for instance, as well, we didn't discuss here leaving out the backpack. You can actually leave out the backpack, especially if you're doing quick activities and such, where you're not per se always taking full advantage of Striker, but you still want to have the ability to go there. Having, for instance, in the past, Sacrifice plus Gift still is an option. So yeah, there's still many, many other ways. For instance, as well, in the recommended folder, there is a Perfect Focus variant. There's many ways to go here, but of course, if we were to go through actually all of them, this is already pretty long. I feel it's almost an hour and a half long here. We would go into masterclass territory, and let's not. Let's leave that maybe for someday in the future when we might do actually a red build striker or a red build masterclass maybe. But for now, we'll leave it to here. I hope you did find this informative and enjoyable, and hopefully you did learn something. If you did and want to help me out, yeah, if you could do any NL algorithm things down below, you know what they are, right? I don't have to actually say it. And yeah, it does help out, so I'll do that a little bit of shilling. Also, as well, if you really like my content, I do have memberships now active. And yeah, if you are willing to indulge or just, you know, splurge some money my way, I'm not going to say no. We're going to definitely spend those on, for instance, yeah, getting silly outfits. But yeah, if you do enjoy it enough like that, I would very much appreciate it. And yeah, for my next video, we're going to actually likely go into the AR comparisons and the SMG comparisons, although we'll likely do it with a rambling talk in between, just to fill it up a little bit. So yeah, I hope you join me for those. And as always, have a good night. Yeah, let's, that was, oh yeah, for those wondering if that good night was for the stream, no, that was just for the video, so. I got a little bit rambly towards the end, but it's fine. I need to kind of, in my head, I hadn't actually thought about how the membership thing, I wanna, you know, like, how that's gonna work. Yeah, I wanted to just go into the secret room at the end. Yeah, let's actually go back to this, where we also have chat up. Let me catch up here. Carbon 7 be a good choice as well. I would pick the Fall over it. Carbon 7 does give up a lot of damage. Honestly, I would pick them 4 SL over it, or Flatline. You do have a faster reload. But honestly, you give up quite a bit. So my preference really goes to the M4 and the Fall. It's not bad, though. It's not like you don't give like up a ton. There's definitely like Mark 16 and such, I wouldn't pick anymore. definitely like that. Those are too low, but measured question mark, measured exclamation point. Wait, measured? What about measured? Or if I'm just that I'm running measured, measured is good now. Measured is actually good now. Oh, and either flooded and thanks for gifting 5 subs there. I think the recipients will also be very grateful to you. But yeah, much appreciated. Yeah, thanks so much for doing that. And then yeah, glad you like my content enough to make silly decisions like that. You know what? We'll even give a shout out here as for those that don't know, flooded. He does a stream as well, and he's well worth a watch and a follow. I would say definitely. If you're into Division content, well worth a follow. And thanks so much for letting as well for the bits there. But yeah, thanks so much for your contributions are much appreciated as always. General PvE striker casual console, would it be wise to go Memento or Grupo with Bloodsucker? It's good. Best, and I'm trying to something else for lower survival. I feel the second we're gonna go into more survival, I would just tech tank it. Although yeah, you can just slap a Memento in here for solo play. Like that is definitely like that's definitely a thing you can do. Just have a Memento, Obliterate chest, kind of like, tech tank, but then without the blue course. Oh, that works out well. And yeah, thanks. It's flooded and mechanic for the kind words there. I mean, well, the actually might do the striker tech tank. The striker tech tank still has never been it's incorporated in the masterclass, in the tech tank masterclass, but yeah, it doesn't have a separate video. Might do that at some point. Measured is top choice overall as a general choice, yeah. So solo, I would maybe go killer. Solo, I would maybe go killer, but as a general use, talent measured is actually pretty good now. Like it beats Strained, it beats Optimist. It's pretty high up there. Yeah. Although yeah, the thing is generally if we're going that route, I'm just gonna grab the tech tank at that point. Give up even more blue cores basically, and then just have that shield of it and kind of run that. Let me put this back. Yeah, let's actually. I can't make it late tonight because I start pretty early tomorrow. We can definitely still go for a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go to character 3. Kind of seen Striker now. I've also been recently running a lot of Striker just to kind of refamiliarize myself with how it looks now. Let's go actually with her. Let's run Umbra. I haven't run Umbra much. Let's actually, what was the full runtime? 140. Okay. A little longer than than I would want, but also yeah, we kind of went into a lot of shit there. So yeah, that's gonna be stitched together, and tomorrow it's gonna go up as a video. All right, for the person asking earlier as well for OD, so basically OD is now. So I'm saving it actually with 5 pieces, just so I can either put in a coyote, but also if I don't want a coyote, so for instance with a rifle, a Fox's Prayer would be a good pick. So if there's already enough coyotes, I can keep that mask and then go Foxes here. I think I should have set it up to be still, yeah, so 51 still, because this has a crit chance, yeah. So this, if there's other coyotes, so maybe, countdown. But as a general, if you want to solo it with, but yeah, keep in mind that OD is even with Sadist is coming up to 80% of a striker. It's definitely weaker, but it has, of course, the group components. That is really strong. Yeah, let's actually run this. This actually still, oh yeah, it does no, it didn't have chest skyber, of course. What do I want to run this with? Actually, rifles. Thing is, rifles feel pretty good with ongoing or Umbra and ongoing as well. But I don't wanna annoy people. So maybe I go with the LMG. You know what? Maybe we'll go with Bullet King. Oh, actually, do I have different backpack here? Don't have a group of backpack. That was what, well, that was would be what I would need here. Because actually, LMG is gonna land even higher. Because it is gonna have 24.5 basically, so then we're gonna go all the way to 60 here. And there's no real way to lose crit chance here. Well, maybe we just go with the bestie. I would still want a group of backpack. I'd likely have one. Not optimized, but... No. Oh, I do have a petrol pack. Let's just do a petrol pack. There we go. I know, 46.5, that's fine. I'm actually gonna run with the modifiers active, so. But yeah, let's actually jump into another countdown. Actually, I'm gonna just go chow. Yeah, let me catch up here. So,
You have received an invite to another agent's group.
Coyote, not coyote. There for a minute, I was missing. Yes, we just run
You
our
are now in a
peyote.
group.
Just, you know. Yeah, they added in some peyote for us. Either no region, make it stop, please. I mean, I can't make it stop. You can make it stop, likely though. You can, you can likely just turn it off for yourself. Yeah, no region is, yeah, you have to kind of deal with it, or not. You can turn it off.
Communication relay offline.
Hyenas have taken over the power plant and triggered the
Hyenas.
lockdown procedures. Be careful, Agent. Last thing we need is an RC bomb in a nuclear reactor. We need to restrict access.
Oh,
and
yeah, actually,
secure
how
the
we should be
nuclear
saying
waste.
coyote is, of course, not coyote, but coyote. Don't even remember what that
Reactor
joke was
unstable.
from, but
Emergency lockdown.
we should take a
protocols
left,
activated.
actually.
15
Let's
minutes
see if the team
lockdown.
does. Yeah.
High levels of radiation detected. Commence operational lockdown procedures.
So the annoying thing of Umbra is, so I need to kind of get into cover here at some point. To kind of stack up.
Agent down.
Put that at. Alright, there I used the TDI card. Although actually first I did it wrong because I fat fingered the E button instead of the 3 button. But yeah, I used the TDI card to give me an extra hive charge so that I revived that guy and I still kept the hive charge because and that's kind of the issue for Umbra in this part. It's just there's a lot of running and I can't really get into cover yet. So it'll get better once we kind of reach the first spot.
System curtailed.
City first.
Reactor lab.
System restored.
Yeah, reactor lab. Although I'll react or whatever. We'll see where the team goes. Not challenging now, so it's also a lot easier. I'm sorry, what? What? We were here. We're literally here.
Serious trauma detected.
See if I can solve this. This is how dumb the team is. Wouldn't have gotten too much use of them out anyway. Actually, you can't shoot it from here, can you?
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Oh yeah, I'm forgetting what I am actually. We've been running Striker so much.
Shot will kill me.
So the true answer is just to leave. Like, I don't know why I'm staying. Go do the next one.
System malfunctioning. System back online.
Should maybe just wait for them to get here. Although, are they even coming here? Because, yeah, now, like, you go laboratory, like, why would you come all the way down up here? Just kill me.
Serious trauma detected. Agent incapacitated.
Got 11 ops at 9 then.
Agent vital signs 0.
Yeah, stop me. Let's just get the next one. There's a point where you just go like, what is this thing? And the answer is,
Safe area entered.
I should have gone and made the mistake with them, but that was such a bad mistake to make. Like, well, at least I won't have them in this team. Like, they're still doing that. So I gotta solve that eventually, but more so if I was on a striker or something. It's very special people sometimes. Hello. What do I need for the weeklies though?
Invite to another agent's group. Receive.
The leader.
Another agent is now in your group.
This always still like weirds me out. How much healing do you need to have safeguard there? Actually, a lot of people still
An
recommend
agent
this.
has left your group.
Actually, I'm gonna also try to just
You have
match
left the
make.
group.
And I'm solo. I don't need to like you like that. Although sometimes the matchmaker, especially if you leave, kind of ejects you for a little bit. So sometimes. Sometimes it does be like that. Actually, I wouldn't mind to checking, so in like 20 minutes, the scent is gonna
You
flip.
have received an invite to another agent's group.
At least now it's filling up.
Another agent has joined your group.
Ongoing. PvP
Another
build.
agent is now in your group.
Although not even. Yeah, don't do this. This 25 is not worth.
Another agent has joined your group.
Like, I mean, that doesn't make up for that anyway. What? Okay. It's not a headhunter, it's a perfect trauma. Well, you would get quite a bit of trauma from running that build anyway. Total character motor damage with
Communication relay offline.
You'll get more. Yeah. Oh, there, like I could have cleaned that out in my solo, but yeah, they were also going to lab there and just. Although the real answer would have been just I should have given up and just gone and joined them, but also like, if that's the level of choice making that those 7 people made,
they control this region.
when we're like next to reactor to run all the way south.
We need to remove the virus from the control servers and restore comms.
Reactor unstable. Emergency lockdown protocols activated.
Yeah, let's actually
15 minutes lockdown.
See about actually getting some Umbra stacks.
System curtailed.
That is going to be in long range. Right. Oh, we're gonna have close range buff on this one. Also, we're gonna have headshot buff on this one.
System reactivated.
And then other than that, I actually have fully stacked, but even now I'm 4 stacks. So
An agent has disconnected.
I can do some damage.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
I didn't see him just coming back. I thought he was just
System
falling
disrupted.
back.
Agent down.
Alright.
Agent killed.
It's just respawn, like to the point that like I'm gonna get there fast. Although actually I'm not gonna get. It's gonna be in range at least for these 2. I'm just gonna go the inner route here. Man, that sound is still annoying. Yeah. So at least now will they do turbine reactor? That's you're next to turbine. Where else would you?
System breach initiated. System malfunctioning. System reactivated.
It's just
System curtailed.
it's gonna be this, right? Okay, it's a little bit better. I won't have my own shooting at it either, but
System restored.
especially not having dealt with it for a few days. Should have just stayed there.
Critical systems
Kill
exposed.
this.
System malfunctioning.
So you gotta shoot it from here, right? Pretty sure there's like a spot here.
System reactivated.
Maybe not.
Data transfer halted. High risk target detected. Area secure.
Make the stack better. Let's go to the reactor. Oh, neither Frank, and no, you're on my team. Yeah, like you're under a different name, right? But hey there.
You're closing in on the target.
How did I get here so much faster than the rest? But yeah, let's go murder all of this. Gonna wait for him to engage. Well, actually, as well, I'm gonna actually stag up to full here. 30% reload is actually quite the boon to the SD as well. Is there a reload on this? 365, so it's like the old M249 reload, so not too bad. And the thing with Umbra is you need to kind of position differently. You need tall cover because you're gonna pull out of cover, of course. So.
Target detected.
And I hear at long range, especially with the modifiers, super melt.
Target neutralized. High-risk target approaching.
In between, I'm gonna get into cover, get some stacks,
An agent is
and then
reconnected. Area secure.
Agent, head to the administration building.
our goal is admin, so that's next door. I get a crate? Don't think so, yeah, no. Well, actually, as well, it's gonna be the crate by the stairs there, right? Yes. Nobody opening there. Kind of tells me as well that not a very experienced team.
Agent, you've reached the administration building. I need
Grab
you to
and
fix the
go.
comms.
I'll loot up here. Let's take it. I need some rifles anyway. If nothing else as well, we're getting rifle parts.
I know it's your favorite job. Need you to search the control room and find the server.
I'm gonna take the actual way there, which is through here.
Warning. System breach. Initiating safety protocols.
Somebody was running out that way. I'm gonna get. Oh, okay, they likely took the outside route and they got turned around there. Yeah, somebody started control points or the control room and then stepped out. I'm gonna. The thing isn't showing actually. The area isn't showing. Which is odd.
Hesitating target.
Oh, okay. That's what I get for not paying attention to the
Nice job.
the
You're a
minimap.
pro. Now, just need you to find another server.
You want...
once you've stacked up armor, it does stay up for quite a while.
High-risk target detected.
And again, we'll start the laptop and just walk away. Yeah, let's stay here. But yeah, the cover you kind of want as Umbra is to have tall cover in places, which, like for instance here, I have no tall cover.
Whoever said tech support was boring. One more server and you can reboot the system.
Warning. System breach. Initiating safety protocol.
High-risk target approaching.
Yeah, he was at high risk of being murdered. Also, yeah, I have moments like that, like
Evacuate the facility.
if I'm not in cover, I can't shoot that low.
Communication systems shutdown initiating. Override safety protocols to cancel.
Stack up a little bit more. Oh yeah, with by the teeth there. Actually, that's the lobby server. Now let's go looting because I haven't yet. Let's also maybe find the chest. Control room hasn't been started yet, so it's gonna. But likely the other guy that was kind of going for the bottom one. Like he seemed to actually be aware of staying in the circle. So maybe he goes and gets it. Worst case, I'll go and get it eventually. I have still plenty of time. As I know, but apparently nobody knows about these crates. Which we do want to get. Alright. First they spawn on top of me.
Damn! Thought I got that ape.
Serious trauma
I want to
detected.
use my heart here, but
Agent
guess I will have
incapacitated.
to.
Know what they're doing.
System rebooted. Communications restored.
So, wouldn't mind keeping my hive
Nice.
for the
The plant's
extraction, but
Now let's get you out of there. Move to the extraction point. Shoot off a flare when you're ready for Torres to bring you home.
yes. Quickly grab that. And off we go. It's gonna be Northern. Right? Yeah, Northern. Because we spawned east and west, so gotta be there.
System disrupted.
If I can be at long range, that'll be really good.
Heavily armed hostiles detected.
So actually, yeah, if you don't have any stacks, it's best to just get into cover and then at least make some stacks. Because you're gonna
System
do
back
basically
online.
the same damage as in cover as out of cover if you don't have any stacks. I think in somebody's FI. Yeah, so we're gonna make
System
use of.
malfunctioning.
What did they hack there actually? Oh, I got jammed right before that.
System restored.
And yeah, the modifiers with by the teeth, like you can. This also actually affects the pesty stacks. Got some stacks. Oh, Exhale. That's why I'm kind of keeping long range. Just
Immediate medical
use the
assistance.
modifier
Shoot off a
to
flare
our
when you're ready for Torres to bring you home.
advantage. Crazy,
System
look at that, look at that.
curtailed.
2 million a shots at like 1,000 RPM. Like, yeah. This as well. The thing is actually the
System
modifier. Like the enemy, you may notice there's 0 enemy modifiers. It seems that as long as nobody turns it off or on during a run, you don't get any enemy modifiers. So there's really no reason to not have modifiers on in Countdown, as much as people bitch about them. Indeed, yeah, by the teeth is just funny level strong. I shouldn't stink. Keep forgetting what build I'm on. Just for the fun of it, I'm just kind of running Umbra.
Torres sees you. Helo inbound.
The X again. Also as well, this will likely be the last thing of the evening. Because actually tomorrow I have to get up pretty early. It's also going to be a really long day. Actually, it's going to be 2 long days. And also, actually, that does mean that the next 2 days I won't be streaming at all. I'll be working on location basically, so. Oh wow, they even supercharged there. At the end there. It's nice. Like when the combat actually was happening. Instead of like in between. It's getting nice there.
Keep working together like that, and we may actually keep the lights
Yeah, we
on
had
this
140.
winter.
We didn't, yeah, we had 100 less. Now let's see if we have any keepers here.
Safe area detected.
Nice to see you, Agent.
But yeah, tomorrow though, that build showcase, the Striker build showcase we just recorded, I'll go up, so I'll be on the channel.
I appreciate the trade.
Actually, am I full on rifle resources? I am actually. So I should put this backpack back. So, so back. Yeah. Let's actually, so I have this SIG. Let's actually optimize this once before we deconstruct these rifles. Yeah. Although, is this worth it? Because this is 3. So 2, 3. So another 3 after this even, but then 2 here. So it's 7 in total. Sure. Oh, I feel I just barely nudged the escape on my. Watch me now get a perfect 6. Although, well, I could use more 6 anyway. We need plenty of 6. Even this expensive one. Let's just get it optimized up. Also, I have some resources. Also, each character still has 2k watch points, so I could even splurge like 1k off of each, like 4k total. And then I will just deconstruct those rifles and actually get rifle parts from them. Oh yeah, let's open this last cache. And the boat team gets to go back.
Good to see you.
Sounds being so soft just is like... How much did I have this at? I don't even remember. Let's go with 35. 35 sounds right. No, it's still too soft. Let's put whatever we borrowed back into the stash. And yeah, we're gonna kind of leave it there. Actually, wait, I don't know, before I go, because I also yesterday I didn't get my caches out. No, so we got 2006. Let's just spend that. I generally don't try to stack up too much in the form of currency and stuff. Honestly, the only place I do is yeah. Let's see. Let's go by this. 50. That sounds a little bit more like that's supposed to say. Only the NSA tag are kind of keeping that as kind of like a countdown or a kind of descent SHG level kind of thing. I could actually use an extra pesty if we got one, but we didn't. But if nothing else, we'll dump these back in because actually I've used up a bunch of exotic components, so I'm just down to 108, which I mean it's still plenty. That's still enough to get a few weapons to 25, or one weapon to 2 weapons to 25. So we could use that still. But yeah, for now we're gonna leave it there. See if I missed anything last minute. No. I'm gonna go find somebody to raid on the Twitch end, of course. Let's actually see who is available. They've been up for quite a while. Yeah, let's go with Tickle. I see him up. You might be going towards an end, but it looks like he's setting up for a descent, so it's likely still at least a half hour that'll go. Yeah, we're gonna go raid DJ Tickle on this end, on the Twitch end, and yeah, I'll be back not tomorrow, not the day after, but Saturday. No, Sunday. Right? Yeah, Sunday. So yeah, hope to catch some, if not all of you then. And yeah, in the meantime as well, we'll have the build showcase go up. And actually, so on the Saturday, I'm kind of babysitting. So I might actually be able to kind of maybe make the start to the LMG compare thing as well. Kind of clean up that one, already put maybe the weapons in and stuff. And then we'll work on that. And also, yeah, next week is going to be in going into, yeah, just doing LMG and rifle. Do want to get those 2 done next week, the compare ones, the big files in the DPS tables. And also just build collection. The build collection kind of is going to get slowly updated. I want to do the ones that I've recommended folder. So yeah, I want to go through all the eclipses, although basically eclipses didn't change much, right? The eclipses honestly actually might have all been the same. But basically, there's the buff build, there's the negotiator folder, and then there's the Hunter's Fury folder. So this build will get priority, and then we'll get the other ones later. But yeah, for now, enjoy some DJ Tickle, and thanks once again, everybody, for joining me. And yeah, thanks Flooded as well for the gifteds, and then cheers and much appreciated. And yeah, hope to catch some of you later. And as always, have a good night.